A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Sound out for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. In the past 5 weeks, 17 homes in your city have been stripped of all valuables. There's no lead to the thief. No description. Your job, get him. Before you buy your next pack of cigarettes, think this over. A doctor has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers with special attention to the nose, throat, and sinuses. His latest report, after a full year and a half, says no adverse effects from smoking Chesterfield. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield, regular or king size, they're low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, June 3rd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. We'd just been relieved from stakeout, and we were on our way to get something to eat. It was 12:27 a.m. when we got to the corner of Fedora and Ardmore Streets. The Cakes and Griddle Cafe.
Here's a couple back here, Joe.
Yeah, that's fine.
What'll it be, fellas?
You got a menu?
Up there on the board.
Huh? Oh, yeah. How's the hash?
Pretty good. We're out of it.
I didn't think a restaurant was ever out of hash.
We are.
Uh-huh.
You want to give me a stack of wheat cakes, some bacon, and a cup of coffee, please?
Hey, that sounds good. I'll have the same. But make mine plain hotcakes and sausage on the side, will you?
Yeah. Oh, you want the coffee now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Come on.
Say, put an egg on my hotcakes, huh?
Yeah.
Over light?
Over light.
Yeah. Well, I'm hungry, Joe.
Well, I figured that.
Is that the morning paper you got there?
Yeah, this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Hand it over, will you?
There you are.
Thanks.
What's on the front page?
I'm looking at the sports, Joe.
A lot of news there. Do you want to know what's going on in the world?
Joe, I like the sports. I get the news all the time. And my boys, the Hollywood Stars, won again. Puts them 9 up. Looks like they might win the pennant.
Good.
Dale Long sure knocking them in.
Who?
Dale Long.
Oh.
Joe, you're not much of a baseball fan, are you?
Yeah, I like to watch the series on TV.
It's going to be pretty good. Looks like the Yanks and the Dodgers.
Here's your coffee.
Oh, thank you.
The rest will be right here.
Good.
You fellas new in the neighborhood, aren't you?
What's that?
You're new around here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Steven's got 3 hits.
Most of our trade is neighborhood people. Come in for coffee and cakes on the way home from the show. I could tell you fellas are new here. Haven't seen you before.
Yeah.
I'll get the rest of the order.
Fine.
We got 1 RBI.
What?
Steven's got 1 RBI.
You got a what?
RBI, Joe. Run, batted
Oh,
in.
yeah.
RBI.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what you said.
You got to know all that stuff to really watch a game.
Yeah, I know that.
Here you go, fellas. Wheat cakes and bacon, hot cakes and sausage.
Wait a minute. Where's the egg?
Inside.
Where?
Inside.
Oh, look, Joe, underneath there, see?
Yeah.
Egg underneath.
Here's the syrup.
Thank you.
Sure had some excitement around here.
All right.
Yeah. Don't you guys read the papers?
He does.
Yeah.
Sports page.
No, I mean the front page.
What's been going on? He won't tell me.
All the burglaries. Been 17 of them in the last 5 weeks. It's running the cops silly.
Is that so?
Sure. They don't know where they're going. Running them silly. Say, you like a little more coffee?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, please. Very good coffee, too. You make it yourself here?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Put a head on this, too, huh?
Fine. There have been at least 5 detectives in here in the last couple of weeks asking questions. Trying to come up with a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Sure running them ragged. You guys haven't read about it, huh?
Yeah, I think I've seen something about it somewhere.
It's pretty funny. Just get this picture. Now get it. A guy. They figure it's one fella. He walks up to the back of the house. First off, he's sure there's nobody home. Then he walks up to one of the windows and punches a hole in the screen. Chimneys the window, walks right in and lifts the jewelry in the house and takes off. Just as cool as can be. They figure he's hitting the places between 6 and 9. You get that? Between 6 and 9 p.m. They must have half the cops in the force looking for the guy. They're running rings around him. How's the cakes?
Fine.
Good. We got kind of secret recipe here. Wife made it up. Anyway, I was talking to one of the people who had it. You know, one of the victims, guy over on Hobart. He said the cops came in and went all over his house, took fingerprints, pictures, all that. Worked on his house for about 5 hours. Went all over the backyard looking for footprints. And you know what they came up with?
No.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All that time, all those men, and they didn't come up with nothing. He sure got the cops running in circles.
You got a check? Check.
Oh, yeah, here you go. Stack of wheats, bacon, hot sausage and egg, 2 coffees. I won't charge you for the refills.
That's very nice of you, thank you.
Oh, that's all right. Let's see, comes to $1.25, taxes $1.29.
Okay. You got any pennies, Frank?
Yeah, I got 2.
Here, take a nickel, break it apart.
Wait a minute, I'll get my wallet, Joe. Maybe I got a couple in there.
Hey. Yeah. Hey, how come you guys are carrying guns? You ain't gonna hold up the place, are you? There isn't any money here.
We're police officers.
Detectives?
Yeah.
Oh. Say, I hope you guys ain't sore about what I said. About you running in circles.
No, forget it. That's all right.
Oh, no, come on. Let this one be on the house. Take your money back. Sort of a way to say I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Forget it.
I'd like to pop for the cakes.
No, thanks. Thanks just the same.
Well, hope you come back again.
Sure.
Say, just a minute.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
About this fellow who's been pulling the jobs.
Yeah.
When do you figure you're going to get him?
When he runs out of circles. The papers had carried the story since the 5th burglary. As the thefts continued, the stories grew in importance. The thief had been operating in the same general area. On each report, the crime lab had been sent out, pictures were taken, fingerprints were lifted. When the sum total of evidence was weighed and sifted, we were able to establish the fact that we were looking for the same man or men. He was in possession of a 1/4-inch punch, which he used on the screens, and a 1/2-inch jimmy, which he used to pry open the windows. From traces of fabric that he left on the 4th job, we knew that he wore cotton gloves. We had no physical description of him to work with, nothing but the M.O. that he used. The stats office had made run after run looking for a lead. The possibles that they'd turned up were checked out, but they netted us nothing. Communications had been gotten off to the rest of the nation asking for information on known criminals who used the same M.O., but the replies were of no help. All recently released convicts from the state penitentiaries and work farms were checked. We found nothing. The pawn shops in the Southland were alerted to be on the lookout for the stolen goods. Again, nothing. Informants and other sources of information were questioned and re-questioned, and at the end of 5 weeks, we were right back where we started. The newspapers took up the stories in full force. They ran cartoons of the thief, picturing him as an invisible phantom who could almost announce the time of the next housebreaking to the police and then proceed according to plan without interference. Every known method of apprehending the burglar was tried. None of them worked. Captain Wisdom assigned 4 other teams of men to the case. Metro Division sent out another 2 cars to aid in the rolling stakeout. Apparently, we were stopped cold. 2 more days passed, and on Friday, June 5th, we got a report of another burglary. 9:36 a.m. Frank and I left the office to check it out.
Yes, something you want?
We'd like to see Miss Santos if we could.
Who are you?
Police officers, ma'am. Is Miss Santos in?
Oh, well, I'm her. Come on in.
Thank you.
Come on, hurry up. I don't want flies into the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Whew, never saw so many flies around as this summer. Sit down.
Thank you.
Can I get you anything? Cup of coffee?
No,
Thank
you.
you, ma'am.
You don't mind if I have some?
No, you go right ahead.
Just having another cup before I get started on the house, sort of the lull before the storm.
Ma'am?
The kids are downstairs playing. They'll be up in a minute. They get to running around. It's impossible to get anything done.
Yes, ma'am.
All I can do is get a second cup of coffee in the morning. Excuse me, Mint. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Just make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now then, this is about the burglar last night, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to go over the list of stolen articles with you.
Uh-huh, that's it. Everything they took.
I'd like to check it if we can.
Wasn't anything else in the house for them to take?
Well, let's see here. According to what we have on the report, you listed $47 in cash, haven't
Yeah, that's from the jar.
Ma'am?
We got a little candy jar upstairs. Keep loose change in it. Whenever I have anything left over from my household money, I put in there. Anthony, he's my husband.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, whenever Anthony's got any loose change in his pocket, he drops it in there. Adds up in time. $47.
Yes, ma'am. You're pretty sure about the amount now.
Yeah, you see, we keep a little piece of paper in the jar. Got the amount written on it so as we can tell how much we've added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever stole the money didn't take the paper, just the money. Had exactly $47.
Yes, ma'am. Now, you list a ruby and diamond woman's wristwatch, is that right?
Gonna use it for a trip to Las Vegas.
Big friend?
We were gonna use the money in the jar for a trip to Las Vegas. Only needed $150 more. Now we gotta start all over again.
Yes, ma'am. Now, about the watch?
Oh, yeah, well, they stole that, too. Had 2 rubies on one side, 3 diamonds on the other, little gold band. Took that, too. Anniversary present from Anthony. He's my husband.
Uh-huh.
Gave it to me on our 5th anniversary, February 2nd.
Now, you list a diamond ring. Wonder if you can give us a little better description of the ring.
My engagement ring. Solitaire, not very big. Had it on my dressing table on one of those little ring gadgets. You know, the little block of wood on the little stick?
Yes, ma'am.
You put your rings on it when you're doing the dishes? Not very big.
Yes, ma'am. Now, was there anything else of value taken?
No. A couple of cheap little costume pieces, bracelet, couple of pins, nothing really worth anything.
I'd like to have descriptions of the pieces if we could.
I can give them to you.
All right, fine.
You really think you're going to be able to catch the fellow that took the things?
Well, we don't know. We're sure going to try. Have there been any strangers that you've noticed in the neighborhood lately?
No, none that I can think of right off.
Any strange cars, ma'am?
You married, officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Got any kids?
Yes, ma'am, too.
Mm-hmm. Will you just ask your wife how much time she's got to take notice of cars driving up and down the street, noticing whether people are loitering in front of the house or not? You just ask her. She'll tell you. You men all the time talking about the modern conveniences. Help out the housework. Just zip and the house is clean with a vacuum. Swish the dishes around. They're all clean with the new soaps.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, maybe it's better than our mothers had it, but they still haven't come up with nothing short of a straitjacket that'll keep you from having to run after the kids all day.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
ask your wife. She'll tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
You ask yours, too. You'll see.
I'm not married, Miss Sanders.
Well, then you wouldn't know. Well, you can talk to his wife. Those fellas last night, they getting clues?
We haven't checked with them yet, ma'am.
Seems like they should be able to tell something about who did it. All that powder they was putting around, the pictures they was taking, all the excitement. Took me 2 hours after they left before I could get the kids to sleep. All that trouble, they should have something that's going to get the things back. Sure know one thing.
What's that, ma'am?
Man that stole the watch, wish they'd taken the book.
Beg pardon?
The record book. It was right in the drawer of the dressing table. The way those people at the store are, if you don't find them, they will.
I don't believe I understand, Miss Sanders.
The people where we bought the wristwatch, they'll find him, sure. They won't let him get away with it.
Ma'am?
The watch, it isn't paid for.
10:42 a.m. We started to canvass the neighborhood. For the next hour, we talked to the people in the houses on both sides of the street. None of them could add anything to the story given us by the latest victim. 12 noon, Frank and I called the office and told them we'd be out for 7. As we were leaving our car, a tall, elderly man approached us. He identified himself as Ross Dunham. He explained that he lived in the corner house on the same street as Mrs. Santos.
Yeah, my wife told me you were about the house this morning.
Yes, sir, we were.
Got something that maybe you can use.
What's that, Mr. Dunn?
Well, I noticed it right off. Didn't want to say anything about it to the missus. You know, women get upset. Thought it'd be better not to mention it.
Yes, sir, what is it?
Night before last, Thursday, I saw the car.
What car was that, sir?
The one I want to tell you about. I was going downtown to tell you officers about it. Felt kind of like it was my duty. You know, public spirit.
Yes, sir. How about the car?
Well, it was kind of a warm night. Mrs. and I were sitting out on the porch in the glider, just taking the night air. Then I saw the car go by. Didn't think much about it at first.
I see.
Must have been about 6:30, right after supper. We just sitting there taking the air, having a glass of iced tea. Then I saw the car go by again, slow like. Like he's looking the houses over.
Could you describe the car for us, sir?
Yeah, got written right down here someplace. Car went by the house 2 more times that night. 4 times all told. 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I got it in my wallet. Might have left it in my other pants. I thought... Oh, no, here it is. There it is. Even got the license number.
Yes, sir.
Is going to help?
Well, we don't know, sir. We'll check it out.
Can I have that paper, please? I'll call it in, Joe. Have him check the MV.
Right.
Sure hope it gives you guys some help. The way the burglar's been running around here, terrible. The man isn't safe to leave his house. I've been thinking about having those little bell alarms put on the window.
Did the officers talk to you last night, sir?
You mean when they came out to see Mr. Santos?
Yes, sir.
No, they didn't. I saw the police car. Thought about going down to talk to him. But the missus would have wanted to know what was going on. Told her about the car, and it had upset her. She's kind of nervous. Breaks out in a rash whenever anything happens like this.
I see.
Got just about every kind of ointment in the world. Doctor says it's in her mind. Says it's all in her imagination. You believe that?
Well, I wouldn't know, sir.
I don't put much stock in it. I used to get rashes when I'd eat fresh peaches. Don't anymore, though.
See you in a minute, Joe.
Yeah, would you excuse me, Mr. Dunham?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Did you get anything?
Yeah. Didn't have any trouble making the car. Got a good suspect.
Yeah, who?
Guy named Oakes.
Oakes?
Yeah. Works on a burglary. It's a police car.
We thanked Mr. Dunham for his cooperation in the attempt to help us. As a public-minded citizen, he'd done what he thought was right. During the time we'd been working on the case, we'd turned up dozens of well-meaning citizens who wanted to cooperate. Each of the tips, no matter how remote, we checked out. This meant using additional man-hours and pulling officers off other assignments to investigate the possible leads. But in every event, we appreciated the tips. 3 more days passed. The thief hit once more. In spite of the close surveillance we were keeping on the area, he somehow managed to get into the vicinity, commit the crime, and leave without being observed. The pressure from local citizens clubs and insurance companies got a little heavier. On Tuesday morning, June 10th, a meeting was held in Chief of Detectives Thad Brown's office. The detail and results of our investigation were gone over again. Additional bulletins were gotten out requesting information on the M.O. The area of the rolling stakeout was increased to 96 square blocks. That's 2 square miles. A new plan for surveillance was worked out. Under the new conditions, we were able to keep the entire neighborhood under almost constant watch. Additional teams of men were assigned from Metro Division. To date, the thief had stolen jewelry, money, and other personal property amounting to a little over $8,000. The check on the pawn shops was tightened, but none of the merchandise turned up in the normal outlets. Every night between the hours of 5:30 and midnight, the dragnet of the area was put into effect. During the next week, the theft stopped completely. Apparently, we'd stopped the burglar, but we still hadn't caught him. Wednesday, June 17th. I checked in for work.
Joe?
Yeah?
I think we got something.
What's that?
I was just down the hall with Bates.
Yeah.
I checked out the FI cars that have been filed in the area we're working. Came up with one possible.
Yeah, what do you got on it?
A guy named Boyd Hall. He was stopped 4 times in the last week in different locations in the same general area. Told the officers he was on his way home.
How do you spell that name?
B-O-Y-D, Boyd Hall.
Mm-hmm. You got his address?
Yeah? Better check it out. I ran the name through R&I and came up with 8. 3 of them back in the joint, 1 dead, other 4 have to be checked out. Descriptions don't fit too well.
Let me see there.
Yeah, here you are.
You better get right out there. Huh?
Now, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something, huh?
I don't know. We're due for a break. 15 minutes later, we turned off Vermont Avenue onto Venice Boulevard. 4 blocks to the left, and we turned onto Dewey Street. Another block and a half, and we pulled up in front of the address.
Well, this is 1800. Ought to be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're still batting 1,000.
1804 Dewey.
Yeah. Vacant lot.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
It's so satisfying to know that my Chesterfield is low in nicotine, highest in quality.
Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A fact proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands.
And it's so satisfying to know that a doctor who has been making thorough examinations, especially of the nose, throat, and sinuses, reports no adverse effects from smoking Chesterfields.
His report is a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. and is based on thorough bi-monthly examinations of a group of Chesterfield smokers over a period of a year and a half.
That's 18 full months now. Don't you want to smoke a cigarette with a record like this? Regular or king size?
Chesterfield is low in nicotine, highest in quality. Best for me, best for you.
Wednesday, June 17th, 8:48 a.m. We canvassed the neighborhood around the vacant lot. None of the people had ever heard of Boyd Hall. We asked about anyone answering the description listed on the FI cards. The neighbors couldn't help us there either. 11:17 a.m. We returned to the office and we started to check out the remaining 4 possibles. All of them were able to establish alibis for the time of the burglaries, and they were eliminated as suspects. We got in touch with the officers who'd filed the FI cards. They remembered the man. Each of the teams of men who'd stopped him had asked for identification. He'd produced a driver's license, personal cards, and several letters to himself bearing the Dewey Street address. He told the officers that he'd lived in the neighborhood and that he was returning to his home from a grocery store. The officers had checked the bag of groceries he was carrying and found nothing suspicious and let him proceed on his way. We got in touch with Sergeant Zook at the warrant office and asked him to check and see if there were any outstanding traffic warrants on Boyd Hall. He called back to tell us there were none. APBs and local broadcasts were sent out, asking for information on anyone answering the description using the name Boyd Hall. We got in touch with the Department of Motor Vehicles and asked them to give us all the information they could on the suspect carrying California operator's license number Z941511, issued 12/5/52. They checked their files and told us that there was no record of a Boyd Hall being issued that particular license number. They also stated that no number had been given out on the Z series. This left little doubt that the license was a forgery and the name was an alias. In the meantime, the rolling stakeout continued. 2 days passed while we followed down leads. Saturday, June 20th, Frank and I were in position for the night surveillance. 8:30 p.m.
Joe, up at the corner getting off the streetcar?
Yeah, maybe.
Description fits.
I'm carrying a shopping bag. Now let's take a look.
Right.
Pull up here is good.
Right.
Excuse me, fella.
We're going to have to go through this again.
Beg your pardon?
You're police officers, aren't you?
Yes, sir, we are.
And you want to see my identification?
Yes, sir, that's right.
All right. I'll be glad when you fellas find whatever it is you're looking for. You know, this is the 5th time I've been stopped.
Is that right?
Yeah. Here, will you hold this shopping bag for me?
Sure. Hey, what you got in here?
Loaf of bread, groceries. I got my driver's license in my wallet. Here.
Could you take it out of your wallet, please?
Sure. There. See?
Mm-hmm. Boyd Hall. That's your true name?
That's what it says.
1804 Dewey Street, and that's where you live?
Yeah. Just came back from the store.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're sorry we bothered you, Mr. Hall.
Perfectly all right. I know you're only doing what we pay you for.
I'll tell you what, to make up for causing any inconvenience, let us drive you home, could we?
Oh, that's not necessary. It's just a couple of blocks. I don't mind a walk. Don't like to put you fellas out.
Well, don't worry about it. Get in the back seat, huh?
Really, I appreciate the thought, but it's not necessary.
Want to get in the back there?
All right.
Want to take the shopping bag in front, Frank?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hall.
The way you guys acted, you think there was something wrong.
Nothing is it?
No, I was just saying the way you guys... Never mind.
How long you lived in this neighborhood, Hall?
A little while. We just bought the house.
About how long would you say?
Not long.
How long?
A couple of months.
I think it's right at the next block, Frank.
Yeah.
Say, I sure appreciate this, but you guys don't have to go out of your way. Just drop me off the corner. I can walk. It's just a little ways down.
No, it's no trouble at all.
Here we are.
Well, I sure want to thank you, officers. It's a real pleasure to know that our taxes are paying for the kind of service you've just given me.
Well, it's going to get a little better.
Hmm?
Never mind. Want to get out of the car, we'll walk up with you.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll carry the bag for you.
Well, it might be better if I took it.
No trouble.
Now, which is your house, Hall?
This one right here.
Mm-hmm. That's 1802. Then that one's 1806. Let's walk down a little further, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Now, if we figure correctly, 1804 would be right here, wouldn't it?
Don't suppose it'd do any good to say somebody stole the house.
No, I don't suppose it would. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I might as well.
Now, let's get back in the car. All right.
Well, what do you got in this shopping bag? Sure is heavy. Let's see. A box of breakfast cereal. And a loaf of French bread. You ought to take this bread back, Hall. Look here, somebody cut it right in half. See here, Joe?
Yeah.
All hollowed out. Punch and a jimmy inside. Burglary tools.
You want to tell us where you got them? How about it, Hall? All right, let's go, Frank.
Yeah.
Suppose you guys think you're pretty smart, don't you?
No, not particularly. It took us 8 weeks to catch you.
I should have let it go. Should have gotten out while the getting was good.
Yeah, you should have.
How are you going to know? I figured 10 weeks and then quit. Another 2 weeks, that's all I needed.
Where's the stuff you took?
Hotel room?
You shoved any of it yet?
No, it's all there. Every bit of it but the money. I lived on that. Figured when I got enough, I'd hit for the border, sell it in Mexico.
Let's stop on the way and pick it up, huh?
All right, place over on 6th. I'll show you.
This isn't another vacant lot, is it?
No, this is a McCoy. You know, I had it all figured, all the way down the line, every angle. Hey, how about it? Answer a question for me.
All right.
Is there any way to beat it, any way to come out on top?
Well, you know the answer to that one better than we do. You tried. What do you think?
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in Department 96, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as you heard George tell you earlier, we've received the full 1.5-year report. It comes from the doctor who's been examining Chesterfield smokers with special attention to the nose, throat, and sinuses. Now, the report shows again no adverse effects from smoking Chesterfields. I think that's very important to you as a smoker, and I hope you'll keep it in mind next time you buy cigarettes and get Chesterfields. Regular or king size, Chesterfields are low in nicotine, highest in quality. Best for you.
Lawrence Philip Harris, alias Boyd Hall, was tried and convicted on 6 counts of burglary in the first degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years.
Dragnet wishes to thank the editors of McCall's magazine for their interesting personal story about Jack Webb, Nobody's Man Friday, in the current September issue of McCall's.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Peter Leeds, Joyce McCluskey, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery, suspense, and adventure in tonight's transcribed story titled, There's Nothing Like a Pork Chop When Supper Rolls Around.
It took a heap of threatening notes to make Buddy Huckle afraid, and we had plenty of threatening notes in this one. Individual words cut from poems and pasted on plain white paper to create a message of death. If you enjoy poetry, you hate Huckle, and everyone connected with this case enjoyed poetry. Maybe it has something to do with a dictaphone that wound up telling too much and a leggy blonde that told too little. It was 3 p.m. when I checked in with my boss, the Lion, at the Detective Bureau. Somehow he looked different.
Jeffrey, my boy.
Then I saw he was wearing a flowing black tie.
Listen to this, Jeffrey.
Where's your cape, Fatso?
Listen. Listen to the exhortation of the dawn. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all...
Poetry? You, Lion?
Well, just because you have no appreciation of the finer things in life, Jeffrey, doesn't mean that
Whose poetry?
Well, mine, of course.
You, the head of a detective agency, writing poetry?
A man who appreciates the beauty of the universe, the richness of living...
What's in it for you?
What do you mean by that snide remark?
What do you get out of writing this poetry?
I reap calm, peace, my boy.
How much money?
Now look here, Jeffrey.
How much?
$10,000 if I win.
Win what?
Well, our new client told me about the contest, my boy. There's a $10,000 prize for the poem, which, in the opinion of the judges...
I thought. Okay, Lion, who's the new client?
Buddy Huckle, the poet, America's Bard Laureate.
What's Hucklebuck's trouble?
No, Buddy Huckle. It seems someone is trying to intimidate him, keep him from creating more poetry.
Where do I find this bard?
At his office.
Office?
Well, he has to work someplace. Now, you get right down to this address and do what you can.
Did he, pay you?
There was a check for $200. Buddy Huckle is solvent.
Well, for an artist, that's suspicious.
You do a good job, my boy, and the Lion Detective Agency might turn up in his memoirs.
If I expected to find Buddy Huckle writing poetry in a hidden nook, I was in for a surprise. His office was on the Miracle Mile, brand new building, all glass and angles and curves. I checked the address the Lion had given me just to make sure. This was it. I squeezed into the Lucite elevator with salesmen, briefcases, secretaries, and a temperature of 110. Up in his office, there was a small desk and a little man behind it, maybe 50, with a pink seamless face and short white hair like popcorn glued to a billiard ball.
May I help you, sir?
You're Buddy Huckle?
Just a moment while I staple these poems.
My name's Regan. I'm from the Lion Detective Bureau.
Oh, yes. Mr. Huckle told me you were coming. Won't you sit down? I purchased that chair from the estate of H.W. Longfellow.
Where is Mr. Huckle?
Just a moment while I...
use the stapler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Mr. Huckle now. Yes, sir, Mr. Huckle?
Come in here, Laszlo.
Yes, sir, Mr. Huckle.
Running behind schedule today.
Coming, Mr. Huckle.
The little man grabbed the stack of stapled poems and made for the inner office, his arms and legs working like a crab's. When he disappeared into the inner office, I took a look around. Hung on the wall was a certificate of merit from the Amalgamated Advertising Agencies of America, made out to Buddy Huckle. It read, in gold leaf, "Your poems move merchandise." There was a stack of magazines on Laszlo's desk. I reached for one and was about to open it when Laszlo reappeared from the inner office.
Yeah. Such a busy day.
When can I see the poet?
Oh, soon. Oh, you disturbed my stapler.
I must have done that when I picked up this magazine.
Yes, a wonderful magazine. Mr. Huckle contributes to it regularly.
Uh-huh. Folk stuff.
Yes. Mr. Huckle again. Yes, sir?
Send Regan in, Laszlo.
Yes, Mr. Huckle.
I may go right in.
Why, yes, but don't take too much of Mr. Huckle's time. He's a very busy man.
I found Buddy Huckle seated behind a bluish cast aluminum desk. Very utilitarian.
Utility, Mr. Regan. No frou-frou here.
Buddy Huckle had been handsome, but now he was a gross 40. His overlarge face hung in little white puffs, damp-looking.
You're tan, Mr. Regan. You don't get work done sitting in the sun.
Over Huckle's desk hung the motto, Drive.
Regan, I can give you 3 minutes.
You're paying for it.
Hey, you Regan, I like you.
Thanks.
You're utilitarian. No frou-frou. No...
What's the matter, Huckle?
Little white box on the desk.
Huckle was dying. His lips gathered blue patches around the edges. His huge head rolled weakly. I opened his desk and found a small white box. Inside there were pills as big as bullets. I shot one into his gaping mouth and he swallowed. In moments, his body firmed and he seemed to have come out of it.
Heart attack, Regan. Nothing. Have them all the time. Drive myself too hard, but that's all right. I've got money.
It makes nice salad.
You've given me a poem.
You use a dictaphone?
Of course. Did you think I wrote poetry with a quill pen and olive ink? Poem. Title. Money Ain't Salad. Money ain't salad, neighbor. Won't help you when you're down. There's nothing like a pork chop when supper rolls around. So spend your wealth, but not your health. Live wisely. Take a tip, for money sure ain't salad. It sure won't cure the grip. Signed, Buddy Huckle.
America's Bard Laureate.
Exactly. $100 a line.
Who's giving you trouble, Huckle?
Don't know. Take a look at these.
Poison pen notes.
Nasty business.
Uh-huh. Paste-up letters. No one's handwriting appears, so you couldn't check a typewriter. Very smart.
Yeah, all these words came from my published poem.
Yeah, individual words cut out of the poems, then pasted on a plain piece of white paper so they form a message.
Read that one.
One more poem with a chuckle, and death will take you, Huckle.
Oh, crude poetry. Rank imitation of my product.
And someone's threatening your life.
Trying to scare me into not competing in this year's Hotchkiss Award for time capsule poetry.
Time capsule poetry?
Yeah. The winning poem is placed in a time capsule and buried for posterity by Hotchkiss University. To win means nationwide publicity and, of course, a $10,000 prize.
Yeah, the lion told me. You have any idea who might want to stop your...
You're creating? No. That's why I'm paying your agency.
Mm-hmm. Who publishes most of your stuff?
I have a contract channeling my efforts into Folk Stuff magazine.
Okay, Huckle. If you need me, call me at Folk Stuff magazine.
Wait, Regan.
Yeah?
Regan, I'm scared.
He was scared. But it didn't stop his reaching for the dictaphone when I left. I'd given him another idea for a poem when I said I was going to check Folk Stuff. The magazine was located out in the cute section of Westwood. The building was 3 stories high and constructed to look like Paul Bunyan. The elevator operator said,
"Howdy, neighbor,"
and took me to the editorial offices. I expected to see old Father William behind the editor-in-chief's desk. But what I found was young, blonde, formed by a strict diet and exercise, dressed by Vogue, and had a voice like a warm night.
Come in, Mr. Regan.
The secretary said I'd find the editor-in-chief in here.
Sit down, Mr. Regan. I'm the editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
My name's Julie. If you're a writer, Mr. Regan, I'll publish you.
Well, that's not what I had in mind.
Then perhaps we might do a manuscript together.
That's nice, but...
I'll just turn on the phonograph. I hope you like American folk music.
Love it.
Get so lonely working up here in Paul Bunyan.
We can be lonely anywhere.
People think me unapproachable. I surprise them.
Sure, lady. Now about Buddy Huckle.
Oh, him.
Come to think of it, maybe I'd rather hear about you. How come?
All this?
Yeah.
Why, I'm in charge of a folksy magazine.
Something like that.
There's money in folks, Mr. Regan. I brought out this magazine when I learned how many folks there were in America.
Oh. Do the folks know about you?
We don't have many folks out here in California. Mostly the sophisticated type, Mr. Regan. The kind that would take advantage of a girl if they were left alone with her.
Uh-huh.
But I see you want to get back to Buddy Huckle.
Yeah, I had that in mind.
What do you want to know?
Do you know anyone around here that would like to see Huckle stop producing poetry?
Practically all of us feel that way.
Or maybe kill him?
We're all of us capable of murder, aren't we, Mr. Regan?
Works that way.
But why do you ask about Buddy Huckle?
Well, he has a contract with your magazine. You publish all his poetry.
There must be some mistake, Mr. Regan. I don't publish a line of his.
I nodded once because of impact. Then I nodded again to say goodbye. I left still nodding to the elevator operator who said,
So long, neighbor.
You know anything about Buddy Huckle?
Just he's doing a big broadcast from an Oklahoma barbecue over Long Beach tonight, neighbor.
I headed for Long Beach to have a long talk with Buddy Huckle. It was beginning to look like a publicity setup. When I arrived, I found the broadcasting studio on the 5th floor of the Ocean Stone Hotel. Just outside the studio door stood a woman, middle-aged, her hand gripped in her handbag. That old look of murder on her face.
Let go of my arm.
What's in the handbag, lady?
If you think I'm going to say hairpins, you're not.
All right, let's take a look.
I got a gun.
I thought maybe.
Let me go!
Looking for someone?
Yeah. That louse Huckle.
You've been sending him love notes you've cut out of magazines?
Who are you?
Regan, private investigator.
Well, I'm not afraid of you.
That's nice.
I was Buddy Huckle's wife, Regan. Now he's cut off my alimony, and I'm going in there to shoot him dead.
A lot of people in there, lady. Witnesses.
Oh. You say you're right.
Thank you.
You talked me out of it.
Goodbye, lady.
Goodbye, mister. And thanks.
The broadcasting room was a regular hotel room that had been wired for sound. There was a character in a padded suit that kept eyeing a clock and rubbing his moist hands on his sleeves. This must have been the producer. Buddy Huckle was seated at a green-top table, his eyes on the papers in front of him. Wasn't quite 10, so I said hello.
Hello, Regan. I'm on the air in 2 minutes.
Oh, that's a lifetime, Huckle. If you had a dictaphone, you could make yourself $1,000 in 2 minutes.
Maybe 500.
You don't look scared.
That. You can forget our little talk of this afternoon. While I was dictating this afternoon, the culprit walked in, Mr. Regan. I found out who it was threatening me, sending me the note.
Would you mind telling me who?
Oh, nothing to worry about, nothing at all. I don't know why I was so concerned. Just figure your time and make me a refund on my retainer.
A certified pleasure.
Huh?
Quiet, please. We're ready to cut you in now, Mr. Huckle.
I'm ready, George.
Okay, stand by. You're on the air in a second. Take my cue.
Well, howdy, folks. This is America's Board Laureate, Buddy Huckle, a talking to you. And, folks, I got a swell little old poem for you folks that I hope you're plumb going to like a lot. I kind of like to call it Money Ain't Salad. It goes, they say money ain't salad, neighbor. Won't help you when you're down. There's nothing like a pork chop when supper rolls round.
I couldn't take it. I gently made my way around George, the radio producer, to the door and out. It took me a little time to make my way through the crowd down to the street, and I stood there on the sidewalk for a few moments wondering about Buddy Huckle. Maybe Huckle wasn't as safe as he thought. That was his business now. And suddenly, high overhead above the sounds in the street, there was a shattering of glass. Screams from the street as a figure came hurtling toward the pavement. I jumped. Just in time. The body hit the sidewalk. If you looked hard, you could recognize what was left as Buddy Huckle. The final poetic touch was a framed sign that hit right after the body. On the sign was the motto, Drive.
This is CBS, and you are listening to tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator, entitled, There's Nothing Like a Pork Chop When Supper Rolls Around.
A man's body was spread-eagled on a concrete sidewalk. He'd fallen, or been pushed, from the 5th floor of the Ocean Stone Hotel. The body had belonged to a poet named Buddy Huckle. Very popular guy. His discarded wife had been in the hotel gunning for him, and somebody had been sending Huckle notes threatening his life. Maybe his wife. Well, now he didn't have to worry about the race for popularity. He was dead. Since all concerned were L.A. people, Homicide finally put Sanducci on the case. When Sanducci finished in Long Beach, we drove back to L.A. in his squad car, the hearse following us.
Facts, Regan. Look at the facts.
Facts can lie, Sanducci. What's your theory?
You can't convict on theory. Speed it up, Max. We'll never make L.A.
Okay, what are your facts, Sanducci?
Look, fact one.
Let me try. Buddy Huckle is dead.
Smart boy.
Fact two, he fell to his death from 5 stories up.
Right.
His former wife was spotted at the scene of the crime.
And she was gunning for her former husband, Buddy Huckle. You said so yourself, Regan.
Oh. What about George, the radio producer?
He was still in the studio. Didn't see anything. Step on it, Max.
There were no witnesses.
There were 3. They say they saw a woman running away from the scene of the crime.
Oh, you know how witnesses become confused, Sanducci. They may all be wrong.
Said woman became lost in the crowd during the confusion.
Yeah, and you now have an all-points call-out on Buddy Huckle's former wife.
The woman is dangerous, Regan. She's armed.
Well, didn't the witnesses say they saw anything else?
How much you want a witness to see, Regan? Be satisfied.
You know the trouble with facts, Sanducci? You gotta stop when you've got all that'll fit. Where do you place that motto that came down on top of the body?
Give it time. It'll fit.
Yeah, well, it so happens it came from the wall of Buddy Huckle's office.
Look, did you ever hear of planted clues, Regan? The dame is trying to outsmart us. She planted a sign, tried to throw us off.
All right, have it your way, Sanducci. Hurry up, Max. We gotta get back to L.A. fast. Hey, why is he slowing down?
Regulations. Max doesn't take orders from anybody but me. All right, step on it, Max.
We arrived in town. The time of night you think you see figures waiting with knives in every puddle of dark. 3 a.m. First I had to check with the lion. I made it to his apartment. There was a wafer of light coming from under his door. I walked in. The lion was sound asleep on the couch. A pencil hanging from his mouth, sheets of scribbled paper on the floor. Come on, Lion, get off.
Hello, public library. It's you, Jeffrey.
Expecting a love bandit?
I must have forgotten to lock the door.
One world and a lock on every door.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I was working on my entry for the Hotchkiss Award for Time Bomb Poetry.
Capsule.
Oh, yes. I have another stanza, Jeffrey. Listen. The glory of action, the splendor...
Lion, our client is dead.
Dead? Oh, but that's horrible, my boy. When?
No
How?
time for that. Look, I gotta have your help to find Buddy Huckle's former wife.
Yeah, but I'd planned on spending the rest of the night working on my poem.
Her first name is Mona. That's all we've got. You've got to find her while I check on a dictaphone and a blonde editor.
Oh, a description, Jeffrey.
About 5'10", medium build, brown hair. Last seen in Long Beach wearing a yellow cotton dress, no hat. You're racing the police on this one, Lion. And when you get her, hang on, but be careful. She's wanted for murder. For what I needed, there was only one place to go now. The inner office of the late Buddy Huckle. Dark inside the office. Very. The door to the inner office was locked. None of my keys would work, so I used my shoulder. The door gave, and I was in the inner office. I snapped the lights on. When a man's just dead and you're in his room, you keep looking around for him. And I was alone, and I saw what I wanted, the dictaphone. I played the wax roll that was on the machine.
Signed, the Bard Laureate, Buddy Huckle.
I heard a lot of stuff. Poems, mostly, delivered in his rapid-fire manner. Then I heard myself.
You used a dictaphone? Of course. You think I wrote poetry with a quill pen and mauve ink? Poem. Title. Money ain't...
I lifted the playback head. For luck, I tried the end of the dictaphone record. This was really good.
The sign comes, the silent thrust of death by the tempered blade. Sharp, sweet sharpness. I refuse to read any more of this tripe.
Yeah, that didn't sound like Buddy's rhyming cry-pie type of poetry. I played the very end of the record to get the signature, signed Buddy Huckle. But instead I got...
You've made me read this, but I won't sign this lousy poem.
That was the end of the record. Suddenly, without looking up, I knew there was someone standing behind me.
You're Regan.
Mona.
I saw you earlier, now I see you again.
What are you doing here?
I ain't so dumb I don't know the cops are after me.
Well, they probably know you're here right now.
I snuck in.
And you're not going to reach into that purse for your gun again.
I hopped it in an all-night joint.
Well, look, why don't we just sit down quietly and talk, Mona?
Yeah, well, I ain't so dumb I don't know what you're trying to do, mister.
What am I trying to do, Mona?
Well, I just came here to see if maybe Huckle made out an alimony check for me and maybe didn't mail it.
That's what I'm trying to do?
I need all the money I can get now that the cops are hot after me for something I didn't do.
You're sure you didn't push Buddy Huckle through that window, Mona?
I ain't got the strength.
No, guess not.
I need dough to run away from the cops, Mr. Regan. Maybe you could take my case, huh? I got $6 for the gun.
Well, maybe I can help you, Mona. Look, hole up in the Rondo Hotel. Give a fictitious name. The police will liable to check this office.
Gee, you've been real good to me, Mr. Regan. You took my case, and here's my $6.
No thanks. We'll take it up with the Lion later.
The Lion?
Never mind. But find that hotel. I've got to find an editor-in-chief. The phone book gave me Julie's home address. Julie being the editorial brains behind Folk Stuff magazine. It was almost dawn now, but when I rang the doorbell of her swank apartment, I got an immediate response.
Come in, Mr. Regan.
I went in.
You know the police have already come and gone.
Yeah, they get around.
You're expecting to find something they didn't?
Thought maybe.
Drink, Mr. Regan.
Well, it has been a long night.
Say when.
Now.
Rugged individualist. Decided to do that manuscript with me?
Not what I had in mind, lady.
Maybe you'll tell me what you did have in mind.
You were closer to Buddy Huckle than most people know.
Just so, sir.
Huckle had a reputation as a poet. He set you up as editor of Folk Stuff magazine. But you were pretty rich, even for his blood.
You know, you're wrong, Mr. Regan.
I am?
But it makes a good story. More?
Why don't you try? Maybe it'll make more sense.
The magazine Folk Stuff does belong to me, Mr. Regan. No strings. Although Huckle did like to spend money on women, I wasn't one of them.
Sounds good. Go on.
Buddy Huckle had a reputation that helped sell my magazine. There was only one thing. He couldn't write poetry.
Oh. So when you told me that Huckle didn't write a line that went into Folk Stuff, you weren't lying. Huh?
Even I couldn't stand his poetry. I made little changes here and there in every line. It gave me a sense of accomplishment. He didn't seem to mind.
Well, lady, I guess that's all here.
Oh, Mr. Regan.
Lonely Julie grabbed my lapels, held me tight, and kissed me. But I managed to break away. After a while. I had to leave in the line of duty. And the man I had to see was the one that had last seen Buddy Huckle alive. George, the radio producer. I reached him at his home.
Mr. Regan.
You produced Buddy Huckle's broadcast at the Ocean Stone Hotel last night.
Lousy show, no fire.
Yeah, but you were the last man to see Buddy Huckle alive.
No, there must have been somebody else.
You followed Huckle out into the hallway after the... Lied to the police. You must have seen something. What?
I stayed in the studio.
Oh, George, open up.
Ow! I don't want to get mixed up in it. Let me alone. Now. All right. I got a police record back in Shy, Regan. You won't...
No deals. But make it the truth.
Okay. It was just I didn't want to get mixed up in no killing.
What'd you see?
I followed the star out of the studio like I always do to tell him it was a great show.
Yeah?
Only when I opened the door, I saw this little guy pop out of the crowd and plant his two hands against the star.
Buddy Huckle?
Yeah, and push him through the window.
Thanks, George. That's all I need.
I tried to step back before I saw it happen. I got a record, Regan.
Sure. Try not to worry, George. Everything may turn out all right. The little man, George, had seen push Huckle out of the window, could be Laszlo, Huckle's secretary. I checked all morning trying to find Laszlo, but he'd disappeared from the face of the earth. Then I got to thinking what kind of a guy Laszlo appeared to be. A thinker. Now, where would a thinker type go to hide if he was afraid of something? Someplace familiar to give him a sense of security, yet off the beaten path. It hit me. Sure. The public library. And that's where I found him. 2 flights below street level in the last reference room. Laszlo. His round popcorn white head was bent over a book. Hanging above his head was the public library sign, Silence.
It's you again.
Come with me, Laszlo.
No, you shan't take me alive.
Stop poking your pocket at me, Laszlo.
It's a dueling pistol. It belonged to Edgar Allan Poe, and it'll fire again in righteous cause.
Yeah, sure. Now listen, Laszlo. I know you finally blew your top about Huckle's poetry. You sent him those pasted notes threatening his life to keep him from writing any more.
He dictated his poetry.
It's all over, Laszlo.
No. You can't prove anything.
You were seen pushing Huckle to his death.
Oh. But I just couldn't stand it any longer. Today, after you left, I held this dueling pistol to his head and made him dictate one of my poems for spite. And then I resigned.
Go on.
He put money ahead of art. With his reputation, he was going to win the Hotchkiss Prize without their even looking at his work, while my poetry would go begging. You realize that I am one of only 4 men in the world who really understands Gertrude Stein?
Go on, Laszlo.
I didn't want to hurt him. Just frighten him into ceasing to write poetry.
You followed him to the broadcast last night.
Yes, it was the last resort. I was going to interrupt the broadcast. Tell the world he was an imposter, not a poet.
Yeah, but you have the motto from his wall with you.
Yes, positive proof of his inartistic approach. His motto was drive. But I couldn't go through with it. I was leaving when...
You saw Huckle leave the scene of his latest triumph, the broadcasting studio. This was too much. You killed him.
I was blind with rage.
In pushing Huckle, you dropped the motto out of the window, huh?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. It all happened so fast.
Let's forget the dueling pistol, Laszlo. Just come along quietly.
No, you shan't take me alive.
Hand that gun over, Laszlo.
No, stand back.
The dueling pistol went off in his hand. The bullet cracked the ceiling. I grabbed the gun away from Laszlo. He didn't put up much of a fight. And then I led him from the library as quietly as possible. Sanducci, down at Homicide, felt as sorry for Laszlo as I did. But now Laszlo should have plenty of time to write poetry and not worry about selling it. State will take care of him. George, the radio producer, got a dressing down for withholding information, and I called Mona to tell her she was no longer under suspicion. And that wrote the end. It was high noon when I checked in with my boss, the Lion, at the bureau. He was reciting.
Oh, yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision.
You still can enter the poetry contest, Fatso?
Of course, my boy. The 10,000's as good as mine. I've just completed my work of art.
Okay. How does it go?
Oh, it's classic, Jeffrey. Yeah. Reminiscent of ancient Sanskrit poetry. In translation, of course.
Well, I've had a hard night, but I'd like to hear it.
Well, you've heard most of it. I'll just give you the ending.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
And tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness.
Oh, that's real fine.
Oh, yes. And every tomorrow a vision of hope. Why are you walking around?
Oh, just looking, Lion.
Now, you just sit still while I finish. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation to the dawn.
Aha! What's this in your wastebasket?
Nothing, Jeffrey.
A library book.
Give me that.
Oh, no.
The cleaning woman must have dropped it there.
What title of the book? Great Poems by Unknown Poets.
Yeah. Well, since nobody claims them, Jeffrey, it would be a shame to see them go to waste.
Jack Webb, Investigator is written by William Frug and Gilbert Thomas, produced and transcribed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A hold-up man has robbed the owner of a neighborhood grocery store. The victim has been beaten unmercifully with a sawed-off shotgun. The assailant has escaped into the city without a trace. Your job? Find him. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you 1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. 2, this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Chesterfield, regular or king size, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 18th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. The office had called me at 3:46 a.m., and by the time I got dressed and out in front of my apartment, it was 3:59 a.m. Frank was there waiting to pick me up.
What's the best way to get there?
Down the freeway, I guess, and cut over on the Liso, huh?
All right. Who called you, the hospital or the office?
The office. Said that Bailey had regained consciousness. We might be able to talk to him now.
The rain's going to slow us down.
Well, I better use the light and siren, Frank. We may not have much time.
Huh?
The way the skipper put it to me on the phone.
Yeah?
They still don't know if Bailey's going to live. Raymond Bailey was 62 years old. He owned and operated a small neighborhood grocery store on the corner of Whitman and Beacon Streets. 2 days before, on Monday night, a man had entered the store and at the point of a sawed-off shotgun had robbed Bailey. After emptying the cash register and the safe, he'd slugged the elderly man with the barrel of the gun and he'd fled. Bailey had been rushed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital and then transferred to the county hospital for treatment. For the past 2 days, he'd been under heavy sedative and he'd been in a coma. He was suffering from a skull fracture, cuts, and bruises. His condition was listed as critical, and we'd left word to be called the minute he regained consciousness. 4:26 a.m. We got to the hospital. We went up to the 4th floor. We met and talked with the doctor who'd been taking care of Bailey. He told us that the patient had just been given another shot to ease the pain and that he'd probably drop off to sleep. We went into the hospital room and walked over to the side of the bed. It was a few minutes before the old man started to talk.
I'll tell you what I remember. All seemed kind of far away, like I read about it in a book. Not like it really happened to me.
All right, sir, if you just tell it in your own words, if you can.
What time is it?
It's 4:45, Mr. Bailey.
Who's that?
I'm Frank Smith.
Oh, you a policeman, too?
Yes, sir.
Oh, 4:45, huh? At day or night?
It's in the morning, sir.
Uh-huh. I sure been out.
If you'd tell us what happened, sir.
How many of you are there in here?
But just the two of us.
Yeah. Way they got my head all bandaged, can't see. Say, officers.
Yes, sir?
Doctor said this is Wednesday. Is that true?
Yes, sir, that's right. Wednesday the 18th.
I can't figure where the time's gone. It can't be Wednesday. Why do you have to agree with him? Why don't you tell me for true?
Well, sir, you've been asleep for a couple of days.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Been pretty sick, huh?
That's what they tell us.
Mm-hmm. Seems like every time I turn around and give me another shot. Takes the pain away, but makes everything seem so far away, like nothing was really happening to me.
Yes, sir, we understand. Think you could go on with the story?
Oh, yeah. This fella came in Monday night. It was raining. Wasn't much business. I was figuring on closing when he came in. Took one of the carts and started to pick up stuff off the counter.
Yes, sir.
Well, the fella picked up a lot of stuff. Had a shopping bag with him, hung it on the cart. I figured that I'd have to check the bag when he got the check stand. We had a lot of shoplifting lately.
I see.
Well, after he looked the store over, he came up to the check stand. I checked out the stuff he had. Came to over $5. Oh, picked out all kinds of things, most of them imported.
I see. These were all groceries, were they?
Yes. I had the stuff, and it come to a little over $5. Oh, I got exactly how much. A little over $5.
All right, sir.
After I got everything all totaled up, well, I asked him if I could put it in the shopping bag for him. I didn't want to come right out and ask to see in it. After all, he might have just moved in the neighborhood, and I haven't got that many regulars that I can insult him.
Yes, sir.
That's when he pulled the gun. Pulled it right out of the shopping bag.
Now, you saw that it was a shotgun, did you?
Yes, sir. Barrel was short. I guess it'd been sawed off.
Mm-hmm.
He pointed at me and told me to give him the money in the cash register.
All right, sir.
And he told me to lay down on the floor and stay there for 5 minutes and not to move.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do it. I wasn't going to give him any trouble. Money doesn't mean that much to me. You get to be my age, 62, and it's more important in your life than how much money you got. Yes, sir. A lot more important.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was just going to do like you said when Mrs. Colton came in the store. She's one of my regular customers, you know.
I see.
She saw the fellow with the gun, and she let out a scream. I tried to tell her to keep quiet, but before I could say much of anything, the fellow turned around and hit me with a gun. Oh, I say, hit me just about as hard as he could. I kind of remember the sirens coming, but after that, it's kind of hazy. Like it didn't really happen to me, like I read about it.
I see, sir. Now, can you tell us what the man looked like?
Yes, I guess I can. But before I do, though...
Yes, sir.
Would you tell me what time it really is?
Well, right now it's 4:50, Mr. Bailey. 4:50 a.m.
Wednesday morning?
Yes, sir, that's right.
I don't think it's very nice, you fellas, play a joke like this on the old man. Seems like you could be honest. If I had my watch, I could tell myself.
Well, we're telling you the truth about the time, Mr. Bailey. It's 4:50.
All right, then you have your little joke, but I don't think it's funny at all.
Now, sir, can you tell us how old the man was?
About 24, 26.
I see. How tall was he?
Tall as me. I can remember because I could look right over straight at him. That'd make him 5'8". Yeah, right about that.
Was he heavy or slight?
I couldn't tell too well. He had a big overcoat on.
How about his coloring, his complexion?
Oh, he's dark complected, had dark eyes.
Do you remember what the color of his hair was?
Well, I could just see at the temples. It was black. Yeah. He had his hat on, the hat pulled down.
Uh-huh. Was he clean shaven?
Yes, he was.
I'm sorry to have to ask you all these questions, but we have to get to the bottom of this. Did he have any marks or scars?
Yes, sir. He had a little mole on the side of his nose. Just a small little one.
Which side of his nose, would you remember?
Well, when he was facing me, it was on the left, so that'd be on his right. Yeah, that's right, on the right side.
I hope we're not tiring you too much, but was there anything different about the way he talked? An accent, something like that?
No. Say, how about the things he picked up? You get any fingerprints from him?
No, sir. He must have taken all the groceries with him. Would you know the man if you saw him again, Mr. Bailey?
You just bet I would. I'd remember that face till my dying day. I won't ever forget it.
Think you've ever seen this man before?
No, sir, never did.
Would you know if he drove a car?
Well, I don't think so. He was so wet when he come in. He must have walked a ways. And like I said, his shoulders are just soaking wet.
Yes, sir. We'd like to have you look at some pictures when you feel a little better, Mr. Bailey.
You just bring them on. You got a picture of that young hoodlum, I'll know it.
All right, sir. We're going to have to come back and see you. You ought to try to get some sleep now. We appreciate your cooperation here.
Well, I suppose I should. Last couple of minutes, you fellas been getting a little further away from me. Seems like none of this is happening to me, just like I'm dreaming it.
Oh, we'll be back to see you, sir. Is there anything you need?
No, sir, not a thing.
All right, fine. Thanks very much, and you get some rest now.
Yeah, I'll try. Hey, one thing you could do for me.
What's that, sir?
Would you ask the nurse to come by? I think the joke is funny, but you fellas carried it on too far. I'd like to know what time it really is.
All right, Mr. Bailey. We'll send her in.
Thank you.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Pardon me, nurse.
Yes?
What if you check Mr. Bailey in there? He'd like to know what time it is.
Well, he's been asking the same question the last 2 days. He won't seem to believe any of us.
Mm-hmm. But you know where we could find Dr. Cardell?
Yes, sir, just down the hall, 2 doors past the turn.
Thank you very much. Sure like to find out when they'll be able to look at those mug shots.
Yeah, it's got a good description.
Gonna make it easier.
Yeah.
I guess this is it.
2 doors past the turn.
Yeah.
Come in.
Sorry to bother you again, Doctor.
That's all right. What can I do for you?
We were wondering when it would be possible for Mr. Bailey to look at some pictures for us. I mean, when he's well enough.
Well, with the way he's been reacting to treatment, he'll live.
Yes, sir.
But you saw the bandage.
Yes, sir.
He's totally blind.
5:10 a.m. We got to the city hall. We got out a supplementary broadcast and an APB carrying the description of the suspect. We asked the stats office to make a run for us on the information the victim of the holdup had given us. They said they'd be able to give us a list of possibles by 10:30 that morning. We checked through the oddity file to see if there might be something in the records on the small mole on the suspect's nose. There were several cards turned over to us, but none of them matched the rest of the description that we had. 6:30 a.m. We went across the street, we had breakfast, and then we came back to the office and put in a call to the hospital to check on Bailey. The doctor told us that he was sleeping comfortably and he appeared to be past the critical point. For the next hour, Frank and I checked through the mug books to see if there were any recent parolees who matched the description that we had. We came up with nothing that would help us in getting an identification of the suspect. The woman customer of the store mentioned by Bailey in his report of the crime had been questioned thoroughly, but she was unable to give us any additional information on the holdup man. She was unable to give us a concrete description of the thief. She'd been shown the mug books, but after looking at them, she stated that she was more confused than she had been before seeing them. She also told us about the suspect's black overcoat. She said that while the shoulders looked quite wet from the rain, the rest of the garment appeared to be dry. 10:30 a.m., we got the results of the run from the stats office. There were 17 names on the list. All men matched the description of the suspect and had at one time or another used the same M.O. used in holding up Bailey. It took us 2 days to check them out, and at the end of 48 hours, we were no nearer apprehending the thief than we had been before. 7:58 a.m. Saturday morning. I checked in for work.
Hi, Joe.
Morning, Frank. It's one of the best investments I ever made.
Huh?
This trench coat sure gave me a lot of wear.
Well, if you only used it this week, you'd gotten your money's worth.
Yeah. Sure is the answer to the rain question, though.
I've been wearing that plastic coat of mine so long, I'm beginning to feel like a package of frozen food.
Yeah, you look like it, too.
Yeah.
Anything in the book?
No. I talked to Stoner this morning, thought for a minute he had something for us.
What's that?
Well, I picked up a kid down on 7th yesterday. Tried to heist a liquor store. Manager pulled a gun and held him. Stoner answered the call. Thought at first it might be the guy we're looking for.
Didn't check out, though, huh?
No. Kid just got in town yesterday morning, broke and hungry.
You know, I got to thinking about that Bailey thing last night.
Yeah?
Well, what he said about the suspect's coat.
What do you mean?
Well, you remember that Bailey said the guy didn't look very wet, just the shoulders on the coat.
Well, no, Joe, Bailey didn't say exactly that. He said the shoulders on the coat looked wet, but it was that woman customer we talked to, that Mrs. Colton. She's the one that told us the coat looked dry except the shoulders.
Yeah, well, that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't remember who said it. But if just his shoulders were wet, the way the rain was coming down out there, he couldn't have walked far and come in out of it that dry, could he?
No. There's no bus or streetcar lines within 6 blocks of Bailey's store.
We know he doesn't live close to the store. He had to come in a car.
Nobody saw one, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's happened before. I guess it's the same thing you're thinking, huh?
Well?
Could have took a cab, huh?
Maybe.
Well, let's run it down.
It's better than standing still. There are 22 taxicab companies listed in the phone directory, all serving the downtown Los Angeles area. Each of these companies may have from 6 to several hundred cabs in service at any given time. Each driver might make as many as 6 trips an hour. In wet weather, the cab traffic is almost double that of any normal day. As a result of the number of possibilities, Frank and I spent the next week going through driver's way bills, checking for a cab that dropped off a customer near the corner of Virgil Avenue and Bimini Place at approximately 9:30 p.m. on the date of the robbery. After checking the reports, we came up with one trip that looked good. A driver had picked up a passenger at the corner of Mariposa and Wilshire Boulevard and had dropped him 1 block from Bailey's store, waited for him, and then driven him downtown. We checked with the traffic manager of the cab company, and we found that the driver could be located at a cab stand out on Wilshire Boulevard. Frank and I drove out to see him. We gave him the description of the suspect and asked if he'd ever seen anybody who matched it.
Yeah, I remember him, a little guy. I picked him up out on Wilshire. I remember because he wanted out on a corner. And I thought it was funny that he didn't want me to let him out in front of wherever it was he was going.
Did you wait for him?
Yeah, he gave me a sawbuck and said for me to wait. I dropped the flag, and, I guess it was about a half an hour later, he came running back to the cab. Jumped in, told me to take him down to First and Spring. Let him out there. Remember him pretty good now. Had a big shopping bag.
I see. Do you know where he went when he got out of your cab out on Bimini?
No. I think it was an apartment out there. The way the rain was coming down, I didn't stick my head out to watch him.
How about when you dropped him off downtown? You see where he went then?
No.
You think you'd know this man if you ever saw him again?
Not sure. He wore his hat kind of down over his face, dark in the back of the cab. Might know him, then maybe I wouldn't.
I'd like to have you come downtown and look at some pictures if you would, see if you can spot him for us.
Sure, I got to get cleared through the dispatcher first.
That's all right. We'll take care of that.
Say, what's this guy done? Something pretty bad, huh?
Well, we want to talk to him.
Going to a lot of trouble just to talk to the guy. Come on, you can tell me. I won't spread it around. What's a beat? What's he done, huh?
That'll be a little better if we talk to him about it.
Okay. That's the way you want to play it. I don't want to get nosy.
I'll get you cleared with the dispatcher.
Okay.
I'd like to have you show us the apartment you think the man might have gone into, if you would.
Sure. Glad to do anything I can to help. Oh, say about those pictures.
Yeah.
Sure was dark that night. I hope I can point him out.
Yes, sir. So do we. We took the cab driver downtown, and he went through the mug books, but he was unable to come up with an identification. The neighborhoods where he'd picked up the suspect and where he'd dropped him off were checked. None of the people in the vicinity could tell us anything. The usual channels of information were checked, but they yielded no new information. It had been 10 days since the holdup, and we were no nearer to finding the suspect than we'd been the day after the robbery. Another week passed without results. The thief had dropped from sight. We still had no idea where he was. On Tuesday, March 10th, we got the answer. Hot shot, I'll get it.
Anything?
Yeah, he just hit again. The description of the M.O. the thief had used was the same as he'd employed in holding up Bailey. During the following 3 days, he hit 3 more times. Each time he got away without a trace. From the information we were able to get, it became apparent that he was using taxicabs to get to and from the scene of the holdups. We checked the cab companies and got their full cooperation. They agreed to help us as much as they could, but explained that with the tremendous volume of business that they handled each day, it would be almost impossible to check every passenger that the drivers carried. We got out printed descriptions of the suspect, giving detailed information of the hat and the coat that he wore, the shopping bag that he carried, and the fact that he asked the drivers to wait for him. Another week passed without results. The bandit had stopped operating. Thursday, March 19th, 3 additional teams of men were assigned to the case, and a rolling stakeout was set up in the general area where the holdup man had been working. Additional cars were planted at the cab stands along Wilshire Boulevard and in the vicinity of 1st and Spring Streets. Another 2 days passed. On Thursday, March 21st, Frank and I were sitting in our car, staked out at the cab stand at the corner of Wilshire and Leeward, 8:46 p.m.
That looks like it's going to rain again.
Yeah. Those clouds have been moving in all afternoon. Pretty black, aren't they?
Yeah. Sure cold, too.
Mm-hmm.
Attention all units. All units. 9648 Eldon Place at 211 code 3. All units in the vicinity of 9648 Eldon Place at 211 code 3.
Let's go.
Right.
Couple blocks over.
Yeah.
Well, this is 9400. Should be 2 blocks down from here.
Right.
Better hold it. There's a cab headed this way.
You see who's in it?
No, he's pulling over to the other side. I'll take a look. Yeah, might be.
You want to check it?
Yeah.
All right, I'll swing around. That cab's taking off. You see it?
Yeah, he's up ahead, just turning off on Wilson, see him?
Yeah, I hope we don't lose him.
There's only one man in the back seat.
You get a good look at him when we pass?
Not too good, no. Hat pulled down, that's about all.
See him?
Yeah, there he is, up ahead.
Yeah, probably pulled a gun on the driver.
All right, stick to him now.
Yeah. It looks like he's headed for MacArthur Park.
Yeah. Turn right.
Yeah.
There's a cab. Come on, pull up. Come on.
I couldn't stop. He said he'd kill me if I did. He had the gun pointed right at me.
You see where he went?
Yeah, he ran over there in the park.
Good, I'll check it.
I didn't know what it was all about. He said if I didn't keep driving, he'd kill me.
It's all right. You stay here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure.
Joe?
Yeah. You see him?
No, he got away. Maybe we got something to go on.
Yeah?
He dropped his shotgun.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you 1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that. 2,
The only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
A blockade of MacArthur Park was ordered. The surrounding streets were checked, but apparently the suspect had made good his escape. The crime lab crew was called, and they came out and went over the cab for physical evidence. In the back seat of the cab, we found the shopping bag that the thief had carried. It was a plain brown paper bag with heavy cord handles. There was no way of tracing it. In the bottom of the bag, under several cans of food, there was a sales slip with a penciled notation. One of the prices that had been rung up had apparently been wrong, and after the total had been made, a credit to the customer had been deducted. There was no market name on the slip and no address, just the penciled notation. The shotgun and the cans of food were checked for fingerprints, but those that were found were so badly smudged that they were useless. The serial number was checked with gun records, and we found out that the gun had been reported stolen 3 months previously. We went out and talked to the man who'd made the report, but he couldn't help us. Lieutenant Lee Jones made photographs of the serrated edge of the sawed-off barrels, and they were booked as evidence. We checked at the store that had been robbed, but they told us that the sales slip wasn't theirs. Monday, March 23rd, we started out to find the store that had made out the slip. We checked all of the smaller grocery stores in the area where most of the cabs had been picked up. It took us the better part of 3 days. On Wednesday afternoon, we stopped at a small delicatessen at the corner of 3rd and Leeward Streets. The manager there told us that he didn't recognize the slip, but he said that it could have come from their cash register. He asked us to wait while he called his wife. She came over to the store, and we showed her the receipt.
Yeah, that's one I made out. The customer bought 4 cans of tomato sauce, and I made a mistake on the register. I overcharged him a penny on each can. He noticed that he made quite a scene. It was pretty embarrassing. I apologized, and I gave him a credit.
Do you know the man?
Yeah, he comes in quite often, once, twice a week.
Does he live in the neighborhood, would you know?
No, I can't tell you that. He just comes in and he leaves.
Do you know his name?
No, I don't.
He drive a car?
I've never seen him in a car. He usually walks in, gets what he wants, and then walks out.
You ever come in with anybody else?
No, he's always alone.
And you don't know if he lives around here, huh?
Well, I told you no. What's he done? What's this all about?
We want to talk to him, ma'am. When do you think he'll be back?
Well, let's say this is Thursday. Might be in this evening, maybe tomorrow.
What times do you usually come in?
Mostly in the late afternoon or early evening. Is there something I can do? Do you have a message I could give him?
No, ma'am. We'll give it to him. We called the office and told them where we were. Sergeants Murphy and Rafferty were sent out to help us cover the place. They'd stopped by the business office and brought out 2 shotguns for us. Frank and I checked the small store for someplace to stake out. The only place we could find where we could keep the entire store under observation and yet not be seen ourselves was on top of one of the large refrigerators that held frozen foods and dairy products. Murphy and Rafferty took up their positions outside of the store, and we waited. At 5:30, it started to rain again. There was no sign of the suspect. 7 p.m., 8 p.m., still no sign of him, and the rain got heavier. 8:30, 9 p.m.
Oh, every time this thing switches on, it feels like the dentist is working on the teeth. Sure not much room up here.
Don't shove me off.
Yeah, there just isn't one.
What's that?
Well, there just isn't any way a man can lay on top of an icebox and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Evening.
Yeah.
Glad to see you back.
Huh?
I thought you might be mad about me overcharging you the other day. Looking for any special tonight?
No, just a couple of can things. I can get them.
Sure is raining.
Yeah.
Looks good. Yeah. Let's wait till he comes over this way. You can jump him then. Huh?
Right.
All right, now.
Hey, what's going on?
Watch it, Joe.
There he goes. All right, police officer, hold it up. He isn't going to stop, Joe.
You see Murph and Rafferty?
Yeah, they're across the street.
Looks like he's going in that apartment. Come on. All right, take it easy. He should be in there.
He is.
All right, cover me.
Right.
right, give it up, mister.
Get away from me, cop. You come after me, I'll kill you.
Go on downstairs. You're going to save yourself a lot of trouble.
You okay, Joe?
Yeah.
He's still alive.
You want to call the ambulance?
Yeah.
Who told you? Who tipped you off?
You did.
I never talked in my life. I wasn't even worried.
You were once, fella.
What about?
4 cents.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 16th, trial was held in Department 96, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. I only need 7 seconds to tell you why you should be smoking Chesterfields. Chesterfield is low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. I'd like you to try them. Regular or king size? Chesterfield.
Russell Craig was tried and convicted on 3 counts of robbery in the first degree and 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Assault with a deadly weapon is punishable by imprisonment for a period not to exceed 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week in Detroit, a group of men are gathered for the 60th annual conference of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Dragnet sends best wishes to the top law enforcement officers in the nation and thanks them for the protection they daily give to our homes and families. May this conference be the best one they've ever had.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Ralph Moody, Lillian Bayev, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
This one's about Pete Kelly. It's about the world he goes around in. It's about the big music and the big trouble and the big 20s. So when they ask you, tell them this one's about the blues. Pete Kelly's blues. Pete Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Jim Moser and music by Dick Cathcart. My name's Pete Kelly. I play cornet. You'll find us at 417 Cherry Street, Kansas City. It's a standard speakeasy.
We got 35 cases of cut whiskey and a 7-piece band. We start every night at 10 and we play till 6 in the morning. It's not much, but the contract runs out in June 1924. After that, there's a place in South Chicago that may take us. In the meantime, we're working here on Cherry Street. The lease is made out to George Lupo. His brother gave it to him after the funeral. The kind of music we play started out as a backroom exercise in a little swamp stop called Myrtle Grove. LaRocca took his Dixieland band to Reisenweber's in New York. We got as far as Kansas City. It's no place to get off a train unless you're a sack of mail. Because around here, everybody works at the same job, staying alive. $50 buys a pair of socks, a spaghetti dinner, or a down payment on murder. Well, last night, everything turned sour about midnight. The town was down on its hands and knees trying to crawl through one of those Kansas City hot spells that blast by every third day. It was heat and headaches all the way. Our drummer, Nick, was dragging the beat, and I went bad 12 bars in on the Memphis Blues. Well, I figured we better cut the set short, so we started to fight our way through one chorus of Roses of Picardy. That's when the kid came in and stood by the bandstand. He was tall enough to see over a quart of milk with a face the size of a minute and just about as young. All right, let's get off for a while.
Who's your friend, Pete?
I don't know, but he must be tone deaf.
Mr. Kelly! Mr. Kelly!
Yeah, son.
I heard you play. You sound good.
We've been better. What's on your mind?
Father Cronin sent me to see you.
Are you doing a little missionary work?
Oh, no, sir, nothing like that. I'm an altar boy over there. Father calls me Little Jake.
I sure got you working the late shift.
I've been trying to get a hold of you all day. Father wants a favor.
Well, make it a small one. I'm all out of the big one.
He just wanted to know if you could come by St. Timothy's and see him. He said tomorrow morning right after the 9 o'clock.
Okay. Tell him he keeps terrible hours. I'll be there.
Thanks, Mr. Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell the kid goodbye.
He knows his way out.
Should I go, Mr. Kelly?
Beat it, kid.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, goodbye, Jake.
You got someplace private? We'd like to talk.
This is my office.
Now listen hard, Bright Eyes. There's enough gun in this coat to blow you right through the wall.
I'll take your word for it.
We coming in nice and you get funny mouth. Now you got someplace we can talk?
I can't leave. I got to do a number.
Do it. We'll be right here about 10 feet from your stomach.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
You look sick, Pete. What's the matter?
I feel fine. Who's sorry now? Everybody ready? Let's go.
You proved it. Now let's go.
Yeah. Keep them going, Red.
How many shall we do, Pete?
If this works out, about 10 minutes worth. Let's go.
The alley will do. We need a favor, Kelly.
Yeah, there's a run on them tonight.
Give me the envelope, Dix.
Yeah.
You got an inside coat pocket, Kelly?
Come on. Either throw or pass the dice.
Hold him, Dix. Pull him up, Dix.
Come on. Up. Yeah.
Now, this is how. Here's an envelope. It goes in your inside coat pocket and it stays there until 6 o'clock tomorrow night. You don't open it, you don't mess with it.
What happens at 6 o'clock?
You'll be the first to know.
stood there in the alley and watched them walk away. Inside, Lupo was blowing up a storm. Something about paying for a 7-piece band and only having 6. Well, it wasn't worth trying to get back on the stand. I got a cab and went up to my room. I tried to get to sleep. It was no good. I got up. I was sick to my stomach. After that, I went to sleep. The next morning, I made a pass at some breakfast and tried to look through the sports page. Harry Heilman got 4 for 5 against the Red Sox, but that's all I read. That envelope had me. People have been taken out in alleys before, and they've been worked over, usually to get something away from them, not to give it to them. No matter how I tried to put it together, it wouldn't come out. Thin or fat, it wouldn't slice. I had the envelope, and I had to wait till 6 o'clock. Well, I gave up on the coffee, and I started over to see Father Cronin. It was a little after 9:30 when I started up the steps of St. Timothy's. I figured Mass was almost over, so I hung around in the vestibule for a couple of minutes, trying to look like a part-time bell ringer.
Hi, Mr. Kelly.
Hello, Jake.
Father's back in the sacristy, Mr. Kelly. He said for me to show you the way.
They move it?
No, sir.
All right, Jake. Show me the way.
This way, Mr. Kelly. Down this aisle.
I guess I was too busy trying to act like I knew my way around to pay much attention to a fat, chunky little guy wearing a brown Borsalino hat. He stood up in a back pew a couple of aisles over. The church was empty except for the 3 of us. Little Jake found out about it just before I did.
Mr. Kelly, that man back there.
All right, mister. I'll take that envelope.
Jake, get out.
Mr. Kelly, look out! Look out!
Well, in Kansas City, you learn early to look for trouble. Any place, any time. But this is the first time it caught up with me in the middle of a church. The last 3 shots were a waste of money. Jake went down like young wheat in a hailstorm. When I grabbed for him, I hit my head on the base of a marble pillar. I lost the edge right there. By the time I hit the street, he was gone. I guess I covered every alley and street in the neighborhood. But it was like trying to wash a pail of dirty water. I don't know how much later it was when I stopped for a minute in an empty doorway and tried to remember what I was chasing. Well, a siren was crying off somewhere in the distance, and I started back for the church. The coroner's wagon was just pulling away as I got there. I didn't see Father Cronin around, so I went back to the rectory and rang the bell. He came to the door in his shirt sleeves. He stood there for a minute just looking at me. Then he motioned me inside.
In here. Sit down.
The kid, Father, little Jake.
He's dead. You want a blow-by-blow?
Yeah, I know, Father. I was there.
Sure you were there. You're always there. I should have known better than to call you. I should have known it meant trouble.
Oh, wait a minute, Father. This wasn't my party.
I called you here today to ask you a favor, Pete.
Yeah, I know.
You don't know. It's too late now. We were going to have an altar boys picnic tomorrow at Washington Park. I wanted you to play a little music for us. We won't be going now, Pete. We got a funeral instead.
Yeah. What do you want me to say?
Don't say anything, Pete. If you've got any private fights, that's your business. But don't bring your beefs into the church.
I never saw the guy before, Father.
Don't kid me. He didn't come in here to shoot little Jake.
Now, look, I know this is hard to understand.
You bet it's hard to understand. We've been over it before, but you ran with the same pack. You hung on to the same friends. You had it all figured out. Well, you figured this one, Pete. There's a 9-year-old boy on his way to the morgue. He took a gangster's bullet that you earned. Now you go ahead. Figure it.
I got this envelope.
I don't want an explanation. Take your excuses and peddle them where you need them. To the bootleggers and the gunmen. Take them to your crowd.
This envelope, Father, they shoved it in my pocket. I was out in the alley behind the club. 2 guys. They worked me over. I didn't think they'd try anything like this.
Neither did little Jake.
All right, Father, I told you I was sorry.
Go on home.
Why don't you stop cutting at me and say a prayer for that kid?
I would, but I'm too busy praying for people like you.
Well, you couldn't blame him. How do you explain away a dead kid lying in front of an altar rail? All I could offer was a 2-cent envelope in my coat pocket and a wild night in an alley. I started to walk back to my room. I tried to paste up some kind of an answer, but I got nothing. I was halfway home when the last breeze left town and went someplace to cool off. My clothes were soaking wet, and I decided to take a cab the rest of the way. I reached in my pocket, and all I had was 23 cents, so I kept walking. Sunday morning's the same in any town. Empty streets and everybody home trading the comic section and living off a Saturday night. You could live here all your life, and on Sunday morning you just got in town. It was about noon when I got to my hotel. I went up to the 2nd floor and unlocked my door. They were sitting on the bed. Their coats were off, and they'd hung them on the back of a chair. The same 2 boys who'd given me the envelope last night.
Got a real hot room here, Kelly. You want to move off this cord.
Yeah, next time I'll get twin beds.
Is everything all right with that envelope?
It made a murder, mister. You take it.
Put it back in your pocket.
Now get this, both of you. There's a lot of something wrong here. I've had my turn. You find yourself another fall guy. There's a lot of inside coat pockets in this town. Look for a new one.
We like yours, and that's where it's going to stay. Now, you don't listen good. Me and Dex put it out last night, and you didn't pick up on it. We got you on board, and we'll tell you when to get off.
6 o'clock, boy.
How long do you think this jag will last? Look, I'm cashing in. I've had enough.
What were you doing this morning, trying to pray your way out?
The priest wanted a favor.
I got it, Lon. Yeah, he's here. No, he's busy. 1 till 5. Sure, come on up. Benny.
You went for it, huh?
On his way up. We're going to stay a while, Kelly.
Well, there's only 3 chairs. I'll make it easy for you.
Stay put, mister.
No, he's your friend. I'm checking out.
First time you've been right.
Well, it happened so fast I didn't even see his arm move. My knees buckled and I pitched forward. I don't know how long I laid there, but when I opened my eyes, the afternoon sun was almost gone. What was left of it was bleeding through a rip in the blind. Well, I could hear somebody breathing hard like a fat man on a hot day, and when I rolled over, I saw him. A tough prohibition agent by the name of Cage. The weather didn't make any difference to Cage. He always looked that way. His collar was wilted, and it looked like Arrow's first try. His necktie was pulled down, and the knot was twisted. The heat had worked him over so that the front of his shirt was splotchy and damp. Reminded you of a first grader's map of the world. He was sitting in a chair with his arms draped over the back and his head resting on his hands. He was smoking a Milo Violet, but it didn't help that much. His mouth was wound around a toothy grin, and he looked like a mountain lion who'd just eaten her young.
You can get up now, Kelly. You made your point.
Yeah, sure. How long you been here?
Long enough to fill out your booking slip. You're going to jail, mister.
What for? Sleeping on the floor?
For the dead guy on the bed. Who is he?
I don't know. How'd he get there?
You put him there after you shot him. Now get your hat.
Look, Prohibition's your racket. Dead bodies are out of your line.
Not when I find him in your room. Now let's go downtown. We'll both tell homicide. We'll find the details later.
Gage, you couldn't find yourself in a mirror. I didn't have anything to do with this, and you know it. I've been out for the last 3 hours. This happened after they slugged me.
Save it for the jury. All I know is I got a phone tip to check room 205. I come up here and I find you and a dead guy. That's all I need. You can dress it up fancy and make it look cute, but it still comes out murder.
There's enough liquor in this town to float it away, and you're wasting your time with a killing that's none of your business.
You're my business, big shot. Somebody put 2 pounds of lead in Benny's chest, and you're my pick.
Benny who?
Benny Davis. He worked for Mike Quinlan. You look pale.
Yeah, I'm just beginning to feel the squeeze. Mike Quinlan on one side and those 2 trigger men that you let walk out of here on the other.
You got it, and I'll be turning the handle.
Now, before you start worrying about your picture in the paper, you better turn up the 2 guys that were here with me.
That part of the same dream?
They gave me an envelope to hold for them. The price on it's going up by the minute. A 9-year-old kid died for it, and this guy here on the bed.
That's a good story. Do you write him down or just make him up?
Look, you got nothing on me, and I haven't got much time. I'm leaving you.
That's all right. I called downtown. The minute you hit the street, they'll pick you up.
In the meantime, you better come up with more than you got. They don't hang you in this state on a hunch.
I'm going to check this room over. I'll find all we need.
You couldn't find your head with both hands. Goodbye, Cage.
All right, you got till midnight, big shot, and then I'll be around.
Yeah.
I'll have it all set up. All we'll need is time to run the extra.
Well, I could have used a cold shower, but with Cage there, I didn't have the room to dry off. I went down the hall and headed down the back stairs. I figured even if Cage was right about calling downtown, I might have an edge if I moved fast enough. The sun was on the downgrade, but it didn't make any difference. It'd done a good job all day, and the heat was boiling up out of the ground. So if I was going to come out at all, I had to have some help. So I started to look for the only honest guy I know, an ex-bootlegger by the name of Barney Ricketts. The only bootlegger in the country that went broke in 1922. He drank himself out of business. I phoned 8 different places and tried 4. Nobody'd seen him. I was about ready to give up when I finally found him sitting in the middle of a bourbon fog in a little Spanish joint somewhere on the edge of the East Bottoms. He was sitting at a back table trying his best to make time with a plaster bust of Queen Isabella.
Ah, P.T., my boy, you're just in time. I'm not quite certain, but I think the young lady here has a friend.
I gotta talk to you, Barney.
If you're any good at all with Spanish, now is the time. I was positive she'd loosen up on this second bottle of wine, but no, she's utterly uncharitable, and I think she's a picture of a perfect boy.
Yeah, all right, Barney.
To a member of the old Castilian school, there can be no excuse for the conduct she's exhibited.
Yeah.
Why, do you know I was even good enough to buy her 3 rounds of Portuguese brandy, imported, mind you. But what do I get for my pains? Not even a civil thank you.
All right, listen to me, will you, Barney?
I've been sitting here in the most gentlemanly fashion, sipping this delicate nectar and trying vainly to keep the party going. But does she help? No! I've talked to her about politics, medicine, literature, Keats, Byron, Shelley, Faith Baldwin. I've even talked about the weather.
Barney, she's a statue.
Oh, a simple oversight, P.T. It could happen to anyone.
Now, look, I'm in trouble.
Of course you're in trouble. You'll always be in trouble because you're a child of adversity, a son of scorn. The fates spit in your eye and you try to retaliate, but the wind's always blowing in the wrong direction. You're a lost leaf in the mortal storm, Petey. You're a pebble shaking a tiny fist at the mountain. You'd like to fight for some strange, fantastic cause, wouldn't you? But you can't find anybody your size. Men are too small and the gods are too big. Petey, you're lost.
Are you all through now?
Yes, what kind of trouble?
A pair of bum murder raps. Somebody slugged me in my room, and I woke up with a dead guy.
Dubious honor. You mentioned 2 murders.
One of them was an altar boy over at St. Timothy's. The other guy worked for Mike Quinlan.
The same Quinlan that controls most of the Canadian import here in town?
Yeah, that's him.
Time's short. Let's finish the brandy.
2 guys started all this at the club last night. Names are Ludd and Dex. Mean anything to you?
This'll all sound better with more brandy. You picked 2 of Quinlan's first string. Ludd Sandell and Dex Porter, both killers.
Look, they gave me an envelope to hang on to. Now, nose around. See if you can find out what it all means. The dead guy up in my room, his name's Benny Davis. See if you can find out where he fits in, will you?
It'd be a lot simpler if you just joined Quinlan's gang. Benny Davis holds a card in the same organization.
Well, how about Ludd and Dex? Any bad blood between them and
If
Davis?
there is, it doesn't show. They're closer than unborn peas.
You sure about that, Barney?
Police blotter can't be that wrong. Benny's sister will tell you the same thing.
Well, where do I find her?
Chelsea Apartments. Beautiful girl, Petey. When you're my age, she'll disturb your memories.
All right, now get going, will you? See how close you can get to Quinlan's headquarters. Find out what you can about Ludd and Dex and Benny Davis. Maybe Quinlan's got him on a special job or something. Find out what it is, will you?
You'll find me in a temporary economic slump, Petey. I'll need car fare.
Yeah, well, that makes 2 of us. I'm broke. You'll have to do it on foot.
Oh, well, I have friends here, and my credit's unlimited.
Well, hurry up, will you, Barney?
One moment. Alfonso, would you loan me $1.50?
Come on, let's go.
He's only bluffing. He won't shoot.
Well, Barney headed down toward Bale Street from Mike Quinlan's place, and I started cross town for the North End and the Chelsea Apartments. I couldn't begin to work it out. If Dex and Ludd were such good friends with Benny Davis, why did they kill him? And if they didn't do it, who planted his body in my room and why? Well, I was running way late, and there wasn't much time to catch up. I finally found the Chelsea Apartments on the corner of Stocker and Bales, with an old 3-story wooden frame. I checked the mailbox, and Louise Davis was down for apartment 17. Well, inside, the hallway was dark, and a couple of gas jets were smoking up the ceiling. There was a potted palm by the foot of the stairs, and it looked like it was growing out of old gum wrappers and cigar butts. Apartment 17 was at the rear of the first floor. She answered the door, and you could tell right away Barney was right. She was pretty, and she had enough smile to last you for years.
Yes?
You Louise Davis?
That's right. I can do better for you. You're Pete Kelly. I've heard you play.
Yeah, well, so far you're batting 1,000. Can I come in?
Yeah, sure. You didn't bring your band, so it must be a social call.
I'll make this short. It's about Benny.
What about him?
That's what I want to know. He's got a couple of friends. I got to know about him.
Then he isn't that popular. You mean Ludd and Dex?
They'll do. They got trouble, and they're cutting me in.
What kind of trouble?
No, I'm not sure. That's why I came to you.
I can't help you. They never tell me what they're doing.
Well, they gave me an envelope. They told me to hold it till 6 o'clock tonight.
You haven't got any problem. You'll know in an hour.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm tired. I want to know now. I'll take any leads you got.
They found out I told you this. They might not like it. They got some kind of a beef with Quinlan.
Does Mike know about it?
I wouldn't know. I just heard them talking one night. They're not happy with the money Quinlan gives them.
They got any plans?
I don't think we've got to talk about this. Let me get you a drink, huh?
Now, look, this is the last trip around for me, lady. I got to have everything you know.
You said something about an envelope, didn't you?
That's right.
You got it?
Right here.
If you open it, you'll understand everything.
Well, they gave it to me sealed. They want it back the same way.
If you want to be around to give it back, you'd better open it.
You got a guarantee handy?
All I know is the 3 of them are working on something big. I don't know what it is, but I heard some talk about an envelope. It's your choice. You asked for a lead and you got it.
Yeah, we'll hold hands when they cut me down. You got a letter opener?
Pete, look out!
Well, it all happened faster than a Mexican divorce. Louise Davis was dead before the echo left the room. Well, I got to the window, but whoever did the shooting was gone. I grabbed the envelope, and on my way out, I took another look at her. There wasn't anything left but the smile. I cut through a couple of back lots and down an alley. I stopped in the doorway and opened the envelope. Inside was a handful of typewritten sheets. Looked like a lot of headache for 5 pieces of paper. And then the bell rang. 2 of them were consignment slips for 8,000 gallons of high-grade Canadian whiskey. The other 3 slips were detailed breakdowns for a convoy of trucks. They showed special truck routes over the Canadian border into the States to miss the hijackers and the prohibition agents. They showed a day-by-day schedule for each truck on its trip down from the border. Well, it's not too tough to hijack a load of booze, but when you got it laid out right down to the time, the place, and how many bottles, it's like money in the bank. Well, I knew right then why the envelope meant so much to Ludd and Dex. What I couldn't understand was where they got it. Why they gave it to me to hang on to. Well, maybe they were working for Quinlan, but why didn't he have the papers, and why weren't they in his safe? Mike had a big one. Well, the questions were still piling up. It was an outside chance, but I couldn't stand still, so I crossed over to the Kansas side and headed down Boulder Road to Fat Annie's place. Maggie Jackson did two things good. She sang the blues better than the guy who wrote them, and she could pick up an idle rumor at 3 miles.
Hi, Pete.
Maggie, what do you know?
I knew you'd be here tonight. You always come in together. Trouble and Pete Kelly.
Yeah, I know. I never come around except when I need something.
As long as I have it to give, you got it. It's Mike Quinlan this time, ain't it?
Well, that's part of it. I'm in it up to my ears.
You got an envelope, I heard.
Yeah?
Mike Quinlan and some of his boys have been here about an hour ago. They tore the paper off the walls looking for you and Dex and Ludd.
Dex and Ludd?
Mike wants all 3 of you.
Yeah, anything else?
No. Bonnie Ricketts called for you.
Did he leave a number?
He's still waiting on the phone. I took the call. He said you'd end up here, so he just hung on.
Well, I'll get it right now.
Yeah, the boss is kind of mad. The phone's been tied up for 2 hours.
All right, thanks, Maggie.
Sure, and good luck, Pete.
Hello, Bonnie.
There you are, Petey.
That'll be $1.25 for another 3 minutes.
Yes, all right, operator. Alfonso, 5 more quarters, please. No, the quarters. Just a minute, Petey. Alfonso doesn't know the quarters from the house.
Yeah, well, hurry up.
Thank you.
Now then, Pete. No, Alfonso, no more money for the moment.
What's going on, Bonnie? Where are you?
Fort Madison, Iowa. I'm troubleshooting for you, Pete.
Well, what'd you find out?
It's a double cross. Mike Quinlan's involved in one of the biggest deals of his career, and Benny Davis, along with Dex and Ludd, stole the consignment papers.
Yeah, I know. That's what's in the envelope.
You better get them back to Quinlan. I understand he's been tearing up the town for him.
Well, what do I do about Dex and Ludd?
She might easily end up like Benny Davis. Seems Ludd and Dex didn't want to split it 3 ways, so they killed him.
You sure about all this?
That's why I'm up here in Iowa. I suggest that you join us.
No, I'll see you when you get back.
It's been a gay, mad world, Petey. We drove 60 miles an hour all the way up here.
Yeah?
Alfonso's drunk. He thinks the phone's a slot machine. He's waiting for the payoff.
Well, as soon as I hung up the phone, everything fell into place. I had one big worry, to get back to the club and unload those papers before Quinlan caught up with me. Well, almost everything made sense now, except the killing of Louise Davis, Benny's sister. It was easy to see why they dropped Benny along the way, but why his sister? How did she tie in? Well, on the way back to town, I mulled over a couple of possibilities, and I figured maybe I came up with the answer. I started back for town, and it was rough all the way. I kept thinking any minute I'd bump into Mike Quinlan, and I couldn't be sure that I'd lost Dex and Ludd. It was almost dark by the time I got back to the club. The band was waiting around for the Sunday rehearsal. We ran through one number, and then things got cloudy.
Now, Kelly.
You're early, Dex.
Close enough.
No, not for me. You said 6 o'clock.
Your horn's no match for this gun. Give me the envelope.
6 o'clock, Dex. All right. Let's try someday, sweetheart. Hand me that plunger, will you, Red? I'll give you the pickup.
give me that envelope or do I blow it out of your pocket?
The same way you handled Louise Davis?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do. You killed her and you killed her brother.
You got it all figured out, haven't you, kid?
One player's right, Dex. Don't turn around.
You got it wrong, Lud.
I don't think so. I never should have let you kill Benny. That should have been the tip-off, and that kid in the church and Benny's sister. You had to make the big try.
What's for me and you, Lud?
It won't wash. You're going to die, Dex. Pick a spot to lay down.
Not in the back, Lud. You'd give me a better chance than that.
Would I?
Look out, Lud!
Like I said, Dex, pick a spot. Well, that wraps it up, Kelly.
You better sit down, Lud.
No, this'll do. It won't be a long wait. I don't mind standing.
Suit yourself. 6 o'clock, Lud. Here's your envelope.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello, Pete.
Hi, Father.
Just going to stop by. I heard the gunshots. I knew you'd be around.
Well, let me tell you again, Father. I'm sorry about Jake. I don't know what else to say. I'm just sorry.
I believe you. We'll have the funeral for little Jake tomorrow. Maybe you want to stop by.
Yeah. Some things never figure. A 9-year-old kid shot down. No reason for it. None in the world. 9-year-old kid.
It's done, Pete. Don't waste your pity on little Jake. He's got a big lead on both of us.
I don't get you, Father.
You and I should die as good as a 9-year-old.
Pete Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Jim Moser and music by Dick Cathcart. Scoring by Matty Matlock.
The music of Pete Kelly's Big Seven consists of Dick Cathcart on cornet, Matty Matlock on clarinet, Nick Patul on drums, Ray Sherman on piano, George Van Ness on guitar, Judd Burnett on bass, Mo Schneider on trombone. The songs of Maggie Jackson were written by Arthur Hamilton. Pete Kelly's Blues is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield. Low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto theft detail. You get a call from the owner of a used car lot. He tells you he thinks he bought a stolen car. Your job, check it out. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you 1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. 2, this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Chesterfield, regular or king size, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, May 4th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Nelson. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 7:56 a.m. when I got to room 40. Auto theft.
Is that you, Joe?
Yeah.
Hi.
When'd you get in?
Well, about 7:30. I woke up at 5. I couldn't get back to sleep.
What's the matter?
Oh, I'm sore, Joe. I don't think I could lift a pencil to make out a report today.
Is that right? What happened?
Baseball.
Baseball?
Yeah. I tell you something, Joe. I found it out yesterday. Ain't no Chuck Stevens.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yesterday morning, I got up early. Going to do a little work in the garden. It was a beautiful day, you know. Felt real great.
Uh-huh.
I got out in the backyard. Going to take it easy, listen to the ball game, you know. Easy day.
Yeah.
And about 10, that guy next door, Neil Radcliffe, came over.
That's the fellow in the fire department, isn't it?
No, Joe, that's Bud Hendricks in the fire department. Neil works for an insurance company.
Yeah.
Well, Neil's company is going to sponsor a team in the Little League. You know, kids' baseball team.
Mm-hmm. I think I read something about that in the papers, didn't I?
Yeah, suppose you did. They're pretty good, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Neil's got sort of a tryout yesterday, lined up for his team. Practice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me to umpire.
Do you know anything about being an umpire?
Well, Joe, sure I do. And besides, Neil figures since I'm a policeman, the kids will believe me. He had a little trouble with him himself last week.
I always thought you had to go to some sort of a school to be an umpire.
Well, Joe, you do for the regular leagues, but this was just a practice game. Neil's team and some kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I told him, sure, I'd do it. I changed my clothes, went out to the park with him. You know, I thought it might be good public relations for the police department. You know what they tell us.
Being an umpire would be good public relations, huh?
Well, Joe, the bulletins say get out, get around the neighborhood, know your friends and their kids.
All right, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Joe, those kids are on the wrong league.
What do you mean?
They're murderers.
Well, how's that?
The way they play the game, baseball. I never saw such ball.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. I figured, you know, softball, underhands, kids pitching, be easy to call.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, it's regulation hardball. Just like that. Bases are a little closer, but it's just like the big leagues and the way those kids throw the ball. A couple of times there, I thought they were just kidding. I'd hear this thump, never see the ball. Thought the kid catcher was just hitting his hand, his glove, you know. And all of a sudden he'd turn around, and there'd it be right in his mitt.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, how'd you get so sore if you just umpired the game? You stood in one place, didn't you?
While I was up in the game, yeah, but this team of Neil's was skunking the other kids so bad that we had a little reorganization.
What do you mean, reorganization?
Well, the end of the second inning, the score was 14-2, and I thought that was a little unfair to the neighborhood kids.
Being the umpire, you certainly had the right to think it was unfair.
Well, I got out, and I told him what I thought, so I decided to play first base for him.
You what?
I played first base for him.
With all those kids?
Sure. Fun. I played 5 straight innings.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah. Finally, I had to quit. Could hardly move. Didn't seem to make any difference where I was, Joe. Those kids weren't there. They just ran me ragged.
Yeah, well, maybe you better take it a little easy today, huh? Would you like the day off?
No, not the day off, Joe, but, you know, I'll take it easy. Faye rubbed liniment on my back all night. All over my arms and legs. Man, I'm sore. It even hurt to get dressed this morning.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the final score, anyway?
Well, at the end of the second inning, it was 14-2 in favor of the Little Saints.
You told me all that.
Neil's team.
14-2. You got in the game and played. What did it end up with?
You know, I didn't even get one hit.
You didn't?
No. 3 times the bat, didn't even get a hit.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. What was the final score of the game? Did you hear me? The final score of the game?
Oh.
Not the original score, but after you played 5 innings, what was the score, the total? I was just curious to know of you.
Yeah. 46-12. When I left.
Mm-hmm.
That was at the end of the 7th. The Little Saints were up when I left.
That was the other team's favor.
Mm-hmm.
The team you weren't playing on.
Joe, don't rub it in. The other team had run through their batting lineup twice. The way they were going, I think they were going to have to call the game on account of darkness. They'd been up for over an hour. Only 1 out.
They sound pretty good.
Well, they may sound pretty good to you, but they're murderers. You know, Joe, those kids grew up. There isn't going to be a ball club in the country that's going to have a chance against them. I never saw anything like it.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry I missed being here to see you play.
Yeah, I bet you are. It was pretty bad, Joe, really.
Well, you'd never know it.
Had me marked down for 10 errors when I left.
Only 10?
It wasn't 5 innings.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you got to be pretty bad to run up a score like that.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I was, Joe, though. I was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. I get it. Auto theft Friday. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Sure, we'll be right out. Want to give me that name again, please? Uh-huh, and that address. Fine. No, right away. Yes, sir. Friday. That's right. Right. Bye.
What do you got?
Well, I don't think you're going to get much rest today. There's a used car dealer out on Washington Boulevard.
Yeah?
He thinks he bought a stolen car. 8:15 a.m. We left the office and we drove out to the McGowan Car Company. It was a large lot on Washington Boulevard. Along the front of the place, there was a line of late model cars, each advertised as today's special. We walked through the aisles of automobiles to the office in a trailer at the back of the lot. There was nobody around, so we knocked on the door and waited.
Well, he said he'd be here, didn't he?
Yeah, I told him we'd be right out.
Yeah, maybe he's gone out to breakfast.
Yeah?
Mr. McGowan?
That's right.
Police officer, sir. You called our office. My name's Friday.
Oh, yeah. Come on in.
Thank you.
Come on in the back. Just having a cup of coffee. Fix you guys up with one?
No, sir, not for me.
How about you?
Yes, sir. Sure, I'll have a cup with you.
Good. Go on back and sit down. I'll bring it right back.
Thank you.
Say, just get your fellas' names.
My name's Frank Smith. My partner, Sergeant Friday.
Oh, glad to meet you. I talked to you on the phone, didn't I, Mr. Friday?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Thought so. Never forget a name. Never do. There's your coffee.
Thank
I'm Jesse McGowan. Guys on the row are all the time kidding me about my first name. Jesse. Get it?
No, sir, I don't believe it is.
Jesse. Jesse James.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, anyway, I wanted to tell you about what this guy came in Saturday night.
Last Saturday?
Yeah, you see, we stay open till 10 on Saturday night. This guy must have come in about 9. Jack went over to take care of him, but the fellow said he wanted to see the manager, so Jack brought him back here.
I see.
Said he had a car to sell, brand new Merc. Beautiful car. Say, I got a box of donuts here if you'd like one.
No, thanks.
I don't think I'll have one. Didn't get a chance to eat this morning. Got to worrying about this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Got some of these new kind with the cinnamon on top. Sure good. Well, I told this guy we'd like to buy the car, but we were kind of overstocked on Mercs.
Yeah?
He said he'd just come out from the east and bought the car when he got here. Said that right after he paid for it, he lost his job and had to get some money out of it.
Uh-huh.
I asked him if he'd like to make a trade, a transportation car and money to boot. Offered him a good deal on a Nash Rambler. Just got a couple of 51s in.
Yes, sir.
He said he wanted to sell the car outright. Said he was going to leave town. He wanted to get his money out of the car. I asked him how much he wanted for it.
Mm-hmm.
He told me he'd have to let it go for $2,200. It's about $800 under what he must have paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, I figured there was something wrong, so I had the mechanic look it over. Only had 3,200 miles on it. Hardly broke in. Beautiful. Radio, heater, white sidewalls, continental hookup. Real beaut.
What'd your mechanic say about it?
Said it was in perfect shape. So I asked the guy who the legal owner was.
What'd he say?
He said he was. He'd paid cash for it, had the pink slip made out to him all right. He had the identification to go with it.
You bought the car then, did you?
Yeah, sure looked like a good deal. I gave him a certified check made out to cash for the amount. He gave me the keys. That was the last I saw him.
Well, aside from the fact that it's an unusual deal, why do you think there's something wrong with it?
Well, for the first thing, the price he wanted for the car was too low. I had the feeling that if I'd have given him any trouble on it, he'd have come down on it.
Do you have the pink slip here?
Oh, yeah, I brought it with me this morning. I got it here in my wallet.
Any other reason you think the deal might be phony?
Well, it's hard to put it into words, Sergeant. Nothing I can point out to you, just a feeling. You stay in this business very long, you kind of get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's been a lot of gags about used car salesmen, about how we're always after somebody. Most of the time, though, it's the other way around.
Is that right?
Yeah, the bums were put out of the business right after the war. Public wouldn't stand for the way they did business. Got to rely on people coming back if you're going to come out in the long run. I guess it's like almost any other kind of business.
Yeah, I suppose so.
What kind of identification did the man have to prove he was this, was it Lewis Carter?
Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, Sergeant, I didn't ask for any. He had the pink slip. Price he was asking was right. We checked the block and body number. It was the one listed on the slip. No reason to believe he didn't own the car.
How about it, Joe?
Well, looks like it's one of the slips from DMV in San Diego.
You mean there is something wrong?
What if I use your phone, please?
Sure, you bet. It's right there. Help yourself.
Thank you. Can I dial a Michigan number on this?
Yeah.
All right. $2507, please. Yeah, auto theft. Mm-hmm. Hi, this is Joe Friday. Yeah. Say, we got a pink slip out here. Looks like it's one of those that were stolen from DMV down south. No, down south. San Diego? Mm-hmm. You got the list there? Yeah, I'll wait.
You mean somebody stole a pink slip from the department?
Yes, sir. As near as we can figure it, about 24 of them.
Never heard of that.
Well, this is the first one of them. Hello? Yeah. All right. Made out to a Lewis Franklin Carter. No. C. Charlie, yeah. A-R-D dog, yeah, E-R. Carter, yeah. Mm-hmm. Registration number is 660 2 sixes. 660 2 more sixes, 667. 660-667, that's right. Address, 4287 Ingram Street, Los Angeles. LA5. Engine number 585509. All right, I'm sorry. 58550925. That's it. Mm-hmm. Mercury, 8. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, that's what we figured. You got anything on the car? Mm-hmm. No, it was sold Saturday night. That's right. Yeah, there should be something out on it. Okay. Right. Thank you.
How about it? The car stolen?
No report yet, sir.
Yeah, I got to call the bank.
Now, you said you gave the man a certified check.
Yeah, I got to stop payment on it. Ain't going to be easy either. He can cash it any place. Sure looks like I'm out $2,200.
Well, it isn't likely he's been able to cash it by this time, sir.
Maybe not, but I'll give long odds that he's standing in line when the door's open. I better give him a call. Hope somebody's there.
Well, it's just 8:25.
Yeah. Probably a little early. Yeah. Doesn't sound like anybody's there yet. Well, keep trying. I got to get that check. See what I mean?
What's that?
About the jokes. Now, we're the ones always trying to get away with a fast deal. No such thing. Take this one, for instance.
Yeah?
I bought the car in good faith. Paid cash for it. Gave the guy just what he asked for.
Well, not quite, sir.
Huh?
You get a little more than that. We got a complete description of the suspect, Lewis Carter. We put out a local and an APB on him, and then we asked Dean Bergman to come out and go over the car for fingerprints. The owner of the used car lot, Jesse McGowan, told us that the car had been washed and cleaned thoroughly, but he didn't think we'd be able to come up with any fingerprints. 9 a.m. We put in a call to the bank and asked them to stop payment on the check and to notify their branch offices to do the same. McGowan supplied the number of the check, and the information was gotten out to the other banks and check cashing agencies in the area. Bergman finished checking the car, and he told us that the only print that he'd been able to find was a partial thumbprint under the dashboard. We rolled the prints of the man who'd washed the car, along with those of McGowan and the other people on the lot who'd come in contact with the automobile. None of theirs matched. We checked with the office and told them that we'd check out the address listed on the pink slip. 9:37 a.m. We pulled up in front of 4287 Ingram Street. It was a large two-story place that had been converted into a rooming house. There were several cars parked in the front yard. We went up to the front door and rang the bell.
Want to try it again?
Yeah.
I didn't know there were any of those around anymore. Don't see many of them nowadays.
What?
What kind of doorbell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I'd like to see Lewis Carter.
I'm him. What do you want?
Police officers. We'd like to talk to you.
Cops? What do you want with me?
Might be better if we talked inside.
Huh?
Inside?
Oh, yeah. Come on in. I just got up. One of you guys got a cigarette?
Yeah.
Thanks. How about a match?
Here.
Thanks. Well, what do you want to see me about? Something wrong?
You own a 53 Mercury convertible?
Yeah, why?
You know where it is?
It should be out in front. Why?
You leave the keys in your car when you park it?
Once in a while I forget it, yeah. Look, I don't know if it's there now, though.
Your car's been stolen, Mr. Carter.
Huh?
Your car's been stolen.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. Well, where is it? Yeah, you got it back for me? Is it in the police garage?
No, sir, I'm afraid it's not that easy. It was sold Saturday night.
Sold? Who to?
A used car dealer out in Washington.
Who owns the car, sir?
Well, I do.
Do you have the pink slip on it?
No, I didn't get it back from the Department of Motor Vehicles yet. Why?
Well, the man that sold the car had the pink slip with him.
Well, I don't care if he did have it. The car doesn't belong to him. He had no right to sell it.
When's the last time you saw your car?
I guess it was Saturday afternoon. I came home early. I parked it out in front. Yeah, Saturday afternoon.
How is it you didn't know the car was taken?
Officer, you saw the front of this place. Must be half a dozen cars parked out there. The rumors, they use the yard.
You didn't use the car over the weekend, then, is that it?
Oh, no, I didn't. I got home Saturday afternoon, like I told you. I spent the whole weekend doing some painting in one of the upstairs rooms. It's been vacant a long time. I figured maybe if I put a little paint on it, I might be able to rent it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, my wife used to take care of the place. She and I had some trouble. She went back east to see her mother. Seems like the house went to pot after she left, and we're really going to have trouble when she comes back and sees this mess.
How many people do you have living here?
9.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to have you take a look at this description, see if any of them fit it.
You figure it might be one of them?
Well, we'd like you to check the description if you would.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure it isn't one of them. None of them match this.
What if you can give us their names?
Oh, sure I can. Well, why do you have to have them?
Just routine.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can give them to you, but I'm sure they are mixed up in it.
Yes, sir.
The thing I can't figure is how he got the pink slip.
It was stolen, sir.
From the state?
Yes, sir. Last month, someone broke into their offices in San Diego and stole 24 registration slips.
How much you get for the car?
$2,200.
$2,200. Thing cost me over $3,000. Guy must be a jerk, huh?
I don't know. It didn't cost him anything. 10:15 a.m. We went by the used car lot and picked up the owner. We took him down to the city hall and had him check the mug books. After going through the pictures, he was unable to give us an identification of the man who'd sold him the stolen automobile. We checked the names of the people who lived at Lewis Carter's house. One of them had a record of arrest on charges of violation of Section 4127A of the Los Angeles Municipal Code. He'd served a short term in the city jail and then he'd been released. His physical description, however, did not match that of the suspect we were looking for. 11:35 a.m. We had the used car dealer taken back to his lot, and Frank and I checked into the office.
About the only thing we got working for us is the check.
Yeah. Hope they get the word out in time.
He gets his hands on that money, and he can go a long way.
I get it. Followed that Friday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we did. Right. That's right. Be there as soon as we can make it. Right. Bye. Well, he isn't going far.
What do you mean?
He's at the bank now.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfields, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you
one, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
We'd gotten a call from a branch office of the bank that the check had been drawn on. At 11:30 a.m. that morning, a man had walked into the bank and presented a check for the amount of $2,200 drawn on the account of Jesse McGowan. Because of the amount of the check, it had to be okayed by the head cashier. Fortunately, he'd gotten the information about the check and had stalled the suspect long enough to call us. He was able to keep him waiting until we got there. The man was taken into custody without any trouble. He denied having anything to do with the stolen car, and he said that we'd made a mistake. We took him downtown and started to question him.
I tell you, I don't know what this is all about. I'd like to help you out, but there's nothing I can do.
Frank?
Yeah?
You want to get in touch with McGowan and have him come over?
Yeah, right away.
Oh, you want to tell me again where you got that check?
It was against the law to have a check.
I'd like to know where you got this one.
I won it.
Where?
Look, I don't know what this is all about. I'm not about to get any of my friends in trouble by naming them. I got nothing to do with this, let alone my pals.
You'll save yourself a lot more trouble if you'll tell us where you got the check.
All right, I won it in a poker game.
Pretty high stakes.
And we gave up kid games.
Where'd you win it from?
I told you I wasn't going to name any names.
We're going to get them sooner or later, you know that.
Not for me, you aren't.
You build it any way you want.
That's the way I figure it.
When was this poker game?
Saturday night.
Where?
I'm sorry, there's another one I can't answer.
You been in San Diego lately?
Not for a couple of months.
When's the last time you were down there?
I don't remember right off.
It'll help if you can.
What do you mean, help me? I got no trouble. You guys make a pinch while I'm trying to cash a check. I won the money. It was a payment for a debt. All I was trying to do was get my money. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong. Why don't you tell us who you won the money from?
And have you guys throw a beef at them? Nothing doing. I read where you fellas spend your time breaking up a game of old maid.
It's a little more serious than that, isn't it?
Well, maybe to you. I got no problem. All I got to do is sit tight.
You keep believing that, mister. You keep acting like this, and you'll see what a problem you really got here.
McGowan's on his way over, Joe.
Who's McGowan?
He's the man who wrote the check you tried to cash.
Waste of time. You don't know me.
We'll let him decide that.
Go ahead. Have your fun.
A couple of questions we'd like to ask you.
Go ahead. I got nothing more important to do.
Check your name through our identification bureau. Came up with some mighty interesting things.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Let me see, Frank.
Here.
True name Harold Drake, is that right?
Yeah.
Your address is listed as 2917 Ledgewood Drive, is that right?
Yep.
You told us you'd never been arrested.
I haven't.
Let's take a look at the picture.
You got the room rigged for movies?
I'm going to tell you something, Drake. You mark it down, you remember it. The sooner you stop playing footsie with us, the better it's going to be for you, understand?
When do you bring out the rubber hose?
That went out with the story you're trying to hand us.
Here's the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guy looks a lot like me. Didn't know any better, you might think we were twins.
Yeah, if you didn't know better.
But we do, huh?
Oh, come off it, Drake, will you? We got you nailed and you know it. You want to sit there and dream up these fairy tales? That's up to you, but we got a job to do. We know you'll stand for this, and so do you. Now, why don't you save us both a lot of trouble and cop out?
Look, I'd like to do it, Sergeant. No lie, I really would. But I can't cop out to something I had nothing to do with.
All right. Start all over again. Where did you get the check?
A guy gave it to me to pay off a poker debt.
You going to tell us who the guy is?
No.
I think it's time to stop playing games. Now, let's get down to what we got on the books here. You claim you never been arrested. We got a package on you here that shows 3 arrests and 2 convictions.
And a guy that looks like me.
Let's go down the hall and roll your prints. That'll clean it up, won't
I'm for that. Now, go on. Tell me the rest of the fairy tale.
I'll lay it out for you in 1-syllable words.
That'll make it easy for you.
You broke into the offices of DMV down in San Diego on February 28th.
Yeah, Dago's nice in February. Somebody's going to write a song about it sometime.
You stole 26 pink slips, ready for mailing to the owners.
You must mean somebody else.
Well, that smile's going to come off your face, Drake, when McGowan walks in.
Look,
here.
I don't know who Mr. McGowan is, but I'll be happy to meet him. Now, tell me, what did I do after I stole the pink slips?
You got the address of Lewis Carter. Then you went to his home on Saturday night and you stole his car.
You drove it down to McGowan's used car lot. With a pink slip, you sold it to him for $2,200.
I was busy that night, wasn't I?
What are you trying to prove with all this talk, Drake? You trying to make it rough on yourself? Is that what you want?
I'm not trying to do anything. All I'm doing is trying to go along with you guys.
I'll check and see if McGowan's here.
All right.
Can I have one of those?
Yeah, help yourself.
Thanks. You know, I wouldn't have your job for all the money in the world.
All right.
Yeah, it's a lousy way to live. Going around trying to get people to cop out to things they didn't do.
That's the way it looks to you, doesn't it?
From anywhere I sit, it turns up just that way.
A couple of things wrong.
What?
Your record, for one thing.
If you can prove it's mine.
All we got to do is walk down the hall and you've had it. As soon as we check the prints, we've turned the key.
Sounds good the way you tell it.
It's going to sound better the way the judge says it, isn't it?
Who's writing for you?
You were arrested in 1939 for auto theft. You served 3 years. Arrested in 1945, suspicion grand theft auto. Dismissed.
There, you see. They knew they had the wrong guy.
Nobody's told us. Another arrest in 1946, grand theft auto. Served 4 years.
Case of mistaken identity.
Is that what happened both times?
Some people got very bad eyes. Now, you take this fellow McGowan you're bringing in here. Wouldn't be at all surprised if he had bad eyes.
You know, there's one way to get yourself out of this, and that's to tell us where you got that check.
I don't know how to do it any more simple than I have, Sergeant. I won it playing poker, and I'm not going to tell you who I won it from. It wouldn't do any good.
I don't know who's been giving you advice, mister, but you aren't playing it very smart.
Really?
The guy who dreamed up this routine probably spent the next 20 years at Q.
As a matter of fact, he's still walking around.
All right, mister, let's go down the hall and check your print.
Come on in, Mr. McGowan.
That's the man.
You sure about that?
Swear to it in court. What are you trying to do? Cause me a lot of trouble? I haven't done anything, and you know it. Now you come in here and you say that's the man. You know what they can do to me?
All right, Drake, that's enough of that.
Let's go, Mr. McGowan.
Swear to it in court. That's the man who sold me the car.
How about it, Drake?
Nothing more, huh?
Yeah, we'll roll your prints and check them against the record. We got a couple of partials from San Diego. If yours match up, and I think they will, you've had it.
No way out, huh?
Not that I can see.
Oh, what happens, now this is just a wild question for the sake of argument. What happens if I cop out, plead guilty?
We got nothing to say about that.
You can't help out, huh?
No, sir.
Save the taxpayers a lot of money, no trial.
I told you we got nothing to say about that.
Not much to gain then by copping out, huh?
We got you made if you do or you don't. Maybe make it a little easier if there's no jury trial. That's up to the judge.
Nothing you can do?
It'll go into the book that way.
Mm-hmm. Got another cigarette?
They're right there. Help yourself.
Thanks.
All right, let's go. Might as well get the prints and finish this thing up. Come on, Drake, get up.
No hurry. Let me finish the cigarette.
I said, come on, we got other things to do.
Well, so have I.
What?
1 to 10 years.
story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 15th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Well, this is brief, but I think very much to the point. Chesterfield is the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's what I want in my cigarette, and that's what you should look for in yours. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you. Try 'em.
Harold Alex Drake was tried and convicted of grand theft auto, 3 counts, and was sentenced as prescribed by law. Grand theft auto is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of from 1 to 10 years. A hold was placed on the suspect by San Diego County for prosecution on the burglary charge. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Vigran, Jack Crucian, Herb Ellis. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering. And Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Tonight, visit with Cousin Willie on NBC.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call that a man has barricaded himself in his apartment. The report says he's going to kill himself. Your job, stop him. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you 1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. 2, this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Chesterfield, regular or king size, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was when Wednesday, November 18th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office, and it was 10:32 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Sal?
Yeah?
That didn't take too long.
No, Saul just got the coffee made. Here you are.
Thanks. Boy, it sure is hot.
Mm-hmm. Anything come in?
No, it's been pretty quiet.
I got it. Homicide, Friday. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. When was that? Mm-hmm. No, ma'am. No, if you'll wait just... Yes, I understand, but... Yes, ma'am. If you'll wait just a moment, I'll transfer you to robbery. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'll explain it to you over there. Right. Would you hold on, please? Would you give this call to 2511, please? Yes, that's right.
Sure dismal weather.
Yeah. Feels like it's going to rain, doesn't it? Paper says it might hit tonight.
Yeah. Well, I hope it clears up before Sunday.
What do you got figured out this time?
Well, Joe, I don't understand why you say it that way.
You don't, huh?
No.
Well, what do you got figured?
Take a look at this. I got just the ticket right here.
The ticket, huh?
Yes, sir, look at that. The answer to every homeowner's prayer. Take a look.
Yeah.
Gonna be a beauty, isn't it?
Well, if you say so.
Now, look here, Joe. Look what it says. Easy, simple, install in a few hours. Just the ticket.
Do you need one of these?
Have you seen our backyard lately?
No, not for a couple of weeks. Looked all right the last time I did see it.
Well, you ought to see it now. It's pretty bad.
It is, huh?
Awful. I just stand there and look at Perry's yard and want to throw rocks at mine.
Perry's the fireman, isn't he?
No, Joe. That's Neil you're thinking of. He lives on the other side. Perry's the insurance salesman.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's the one who tries all his sales talks out on you, is that
Yeah, tells me all about him. That's pretty good, too. Joe, would you believe it? Up to now, I've bought $246,000 worth of insurance.
What?
Yeah, me, just a policeman. Of course, that's all on paper, just on paper.
Yeah. What's wrong with your yard?
Too dry.
Too dry.
Yeah. Hot weather this summer, you know. Little plants that Faye put out drop like flies, Joe.
They died.
Like flies. But this is the answer, this right here. See? Home sprinkler system. Install it yourself.
What's that?
Look at it.
Well, what is it?
It's a home sprinkler system, Joe. Read what it says here. Resists corrosion, rust, and rot. It's the answer.
It is.
Right. I'm going to put one of these little gems in my backyard. Just turn on the faucet. Everything's all watered. Don't have to stand there with a hose. Just turn it on and it's watered.
You're going to put this in yourself, are you?
Well, I could, Joe. Like it says here in the paper, shouldn't be any trouble at all.
Who's going to do it?
Well, I thought I'd get all the stuff together and then just start on it Sunday. You know, about 10:30 in the morning. Old Perry and Neil work out in the yards that time.
They do, huh?
Yeah. They'll see this little gem and they're going to hop over the fence, see what it's all about.
And then what happens?
I got 'em, Joe. I got 'em.
You have?
Sure, Joe. They see me laying out the sprinkler system right off. They're going to want to help.
Well, if you want them to give you a hand, why don't you just ask them?
Well, you just can't do it that way, Joe. It wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't, huh?
No. You got to be subtle. Remember the kid that whitewashed the fence?
Who?
You know, Huck Finn or whatever his name was. Whitewashed the fence.
You still reading those books?
No, but I remember that he was pretty subtle.
Mm-hmm.
I got it figured out. They'll come over and, you know, look around, start asking questions, and next thing they'll be working. After we get the system in, I'll throw a little barbecue, just sit around, turn on the new sprinkler, and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Sure hope it clears up before Sunday.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, sure, Joe. If it rains Sunday, old Perry and Neil won't be out in their yards. They won't be able to see me with the hoses and the sprinkler heads.
Yeah, but if it rains, there won't be any need to put in the sprinkler system right away, will there? I got it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, Sid. Uh-huh. Did you talk to him? What'd he say? Right. All right, we'll be right over. Want to get your coat?
What is it?
Sid Hughes over at the Mirror.
Yeah.
Just got a call from a guy who's going to kill himself. "10:37 a.m. Frank and I notified the complaint board what had happened, and then we left the office. As we drove out of the City Hall garage, it started to rain. We turned up First Street and then over to Spring. Sid Hughes, the reporter who'd called me, was waiting in front of the Mirror building.
Sid, over here.
Oh.
You got the address, Sid?
Yeah, here.
2682 North Ardmore, out by the Ambassador. Hi, Smith.
Hi, sir. All right, let's go. What do you got on it, Sid?
Well, a couple of minutes ago, the guy called. I answered the phone. Told me his name was Jan Patacek. Said he was going to kill himself.
Yeah?
I talked to him for a couple of seconds. It was easy to see he wasn't just another crank. He meant what he said.
How'd he happen to call you?
I don't know. He said something about the paper treating him right. Said he wanted to thank us.
You know what he's talking about?
No, I got Casey Shawhan working on it now. He's our city editor.
Yeah, I know.
He's checking the morgue file, see if he can come up with anything.
You ever heard of him, Frank?
No, name does nothing to me.
How come you figure he's on the level, Sid?
Well, the way he talks, I can't put my finger on it. Just something in the way he sounded. You knew he meant what he said.
What'd you tell him?
I tried to bluff it through, told him that there wasn't anything so important he ought to kill himself over.
Yeah?
I asked him to let me talk to him, asked him to wait until I could see him.
What'd he say to that?
Told me it wouldn't do any good. Nothing could make him change his mind. Said I'd be wasting my time.
Yeah?
Told him I had a lot of it. Wouldn't do any harm to let me see him.
He went along with that, did he?
Yeah. Said he'd wait 15 minutes. Told me to come alone, not to figure on trying anything.
Well, Frank, you better kill the siren when we get near the place.
Right.
What time you got?
10:42.
Can we go any faster?
What's that?
I told you I believe the guy.
Yeah?
He said to get there before 11:05.
.2682 Ardmore was a two-story Spanish-type apartment house. There was a large courtyard in the center of the U-shaped building. Apartment number 8 was at the rear of the yard. When we got there were several other people standing by the entrance. 2 police units had arrived, and the officers were trying to keep the crowd away from the door to the apartment. 11:03 a.m. As we walked back toward Patacek's apartment, Sid Hughes and I tried to figure some way to talk the man out of carrying out his threat to take his own life.
I'm not sure how to handle this thing, Joe. I'd feel pretty bad if I went in and botched it up. Wish you could do it.
Well, has Patacek ever seen you before?
I don't think so. Why?
Well, we can try a switch if you want to. Tell him I'm Sid Hughes.
That'd be better, Joe. You got some idea what to do in there. I'm not sure I could swing it.
All right.
I told him I'd shove one of my cards from the newspaper under the door. That way he'd know it was me.
All right.
Now, after you're inside, I'll try and get in touch with Casey and see what he's been able to come up with on Patacek.
Good.
Oh, better leave your gun here. Told him I'd come unarmed.
All right.
You think it's a good idea to go in there without a gun, Joe?
Well, we haven't got much to say about it. The big thing right now is to try to get him out alive.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay, you want to hang on to this for me?
Right.
All right, let's give it a try.
Who is it?
It's Sid Hughes, Patacek. I told you I'd be out here. You want to let me in?
What about the card?
All right, here it is. It's under the door. How about it? Patacek? Well, he took the card.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope this thing works out.
You're going to try to get in touch with your office, aren't you, Sid, and see what you can get on him? Might help. Come on, Patacek, let me in.
The police are there. I'm not going to let them in.
They aren't going to bother you.
Tell them to go away. Tell them to get off the porch.
All right, Frank, you better get the other officers to clear the place out.
Right.
All right, the police are gone now. You want to let me in?
Will you bring my mail in for me?
What's that?
My mail. It's in the box right on the side of the porch. In the box.
All right, I'll get it. All right, now let me in, huh?
Come on. I'll stand right there.
You don't need that gun. I'm not going to cause you any trouble.
Turn around.
I told you I was coming unarmed.
Turn around.
We'll see.
All right, let's go upstairs.
All right.
Just a minute. Okay, let's go.
Why don't you put the gun down? You aren't going to need that.
I feel better with it.
Mind if I take off my raincoat?
No, go ahead. Make yourself comfortable.
Here's your mail.
Thanks.
But you going to open it up?
No reason to. There's nothing important.
You can't tell. There might be.
There isn't. I know that.
You want a cigarette?
No, but you go ahead. Here, have one of these. I want to be able to see your hands.
All right. So what's this all about?
There's no other way.
What do you mean?
All night I've been thinking about it since I got home. There's nothing for me anymore. I'm not going to prison. If they think they're going to take me, then they're wrong.
Well, who says you're going to prison?
The authorities. They said I have to go to jail for 90 days. I know how they plan it. They tell me 90 days, and then they'll keep me there for more. Well, I'm not going back to prison.
You ever been in jail before?
Yes, 5 years.
What for?
For nothing. 5 years because I didn't agree with what they were doing. I'm not going back. I'm not going. I'll kill myself first.
All right, take it easy. You want to start from the beginning and tell me what happened?
I said I forged a man's name to a check.
Did you?
Yes, but you've got to understand I didn't have any money. They're going to take my car away from me. I'm behind on my rent here. I owe money. All my creditors were hounding me. I thought if I could just get a little money to pay the bills, then I could pay it back when I got a job. I was going to pay it back, all of it. I really was.
How much was the check?
$250.
Whose name did you sign to it?
A man I know. I got a check and signed his name. He has the money. I was going to pay him back. I have a job coming up. As soon as I got paid, I was going to put the money back. I didn't mean any harm. I knew it was wrong, but it was the only thing I could think of. They were hounding me.
Well, what about that car? Couldn't you sell it?
I suppose so, but then if I did, I wouldn't be able to get to my job. I needed my car for that. I had to keep the machine.
Well, you'll have a trial. If you tell them what happened, they'll probably understand. The court will make an allowance.
I've had a trial. I told them I was guilty, that I did forge a check. They told me I had to go to jail.
You said you'd been in prison before.
Yes. 5 years, and I escaped.
Where was that?
In Czechoslovakia. They put me in prison because I wouldn't do what they told me. They killed my father and my mother, and then they put me in prison. I know what it's like. I'm not going back.
Well, the prisons here aren't concentration camps, you know.
That's what you say. I know different. I've lived in them. You see here? You see these 4 teeth in front?
Yes, I see them.
Well, they're false.
Is that right?
I lost the teeth when I was kicked by a guard. You know why I was kicked? You know why he did it?
No.
Because my clothes were torn. That's the reason he kicked me. I tore my clothes, so he knocked my 4 front teeth out.
Well, that's all over now, isn't it? Things like that don't happen here.
Well, maybe not out in front of people, but they happen in the prisons. I'm not going to have it happen to me again. There were 800 of us, all arrested at the same time. 800, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah.
800 men, people I knew. 800 human beings with homes and families. And I'm the only one alive now. All the rest were killed. All taken to Buchenwald and run through the showers. Now, don't tell me about prisons, Mr. Hughes. I know. I've lived in them.
Tell me something.
Yes.
You remember the name of the judge who sentenced you here on the forgery charge?
Yes.
Well, let me call him. Let me get him over here and talk this thing over. We can work something out. There's no reason for you to do a thing like you're planning here. It's not that important.
Maybe not to you.
It isn't to anybody. Well, we can work something out here. Let me call the judge.
No, sit down, Mr. Hughes. Look, I'm not a stupid man. I have degrees from 3 universities. I speak 4 languages. I spent 5 years jumping every time a guard looked at me. 5 years wishing they'd kill me. 5 years wishing I could live in hell because it'd be much better than the way things were. Now they think they're going to send me back. They're not. You understand that, don't you, Mr. Hughes? Don't you?
Yeah, I think I understand it. Look, you said yourself that you thought about it all night. Now, isn't it possible that you're making this thing more important than it really is?
No.
I came in here to help you. I want you to help yourself.
Get your hands off me, Mr. Hughes. Now get over it.
Look, I don't know how to tell you, Padachek. I don't know how to make you believe me, but none of us want to hurt you. We want you to be happy here. That's one of the reasons you came to this country, isn't it?
Yes, I read the books about freedom. That's why I came here. Now they're trying to take that freedom away from me. Before I even have it, they're trying to take it away from me. I forged a check. I admitted it. I told them I did it. But I told them I'd pay the money back. That didn't seem to make any difference. They still said I had to go to jail.
You said yourself that you were put in prison for not agreeing with the authorities. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
Well, they don't do that in this country. You know that. Everybody's entitled to his own opinion and live his own life. We got laws that are written by the people to protect the people. You understand that, don't you? The people themselves write the law.
Yes, I understand that.
Well, you don't break a law just a little bit. Either you keep it or you don't. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Well, you broke the law, didn't you? Isn't that right?
I told you I did. I broke the law.
All right, now listen. After you've broken the law, you can't make it right by saying you'll pay the money back. But the fact that you do want to rectify your mistake will certainly be taken into consideration by anybody in authority. You understand that?
I don't know. I try to think. I've thought about it over and over. I can't come to any answer.
Where are you going?
Gotta take something for this headache. Got a bad head.
What's this here?
What?
This note here on the bureau.
That's what I wrote. Tell why I did it, so they'd know.
Nobody understands what has happened to me. I cannot accept the jail term. All I want is to find peace and freedom. I guess this is the only way to do that. I'm sorry to cause anybody any trouble. Please take care of my dog. Patachek?
Yes?
You know this is all wrong, don't you?
I don't know. I wish I did, but I don't know.
No, we're not going to need this. There's going to be no reason for it.
What are you doing? Get away from me. Leave my things alone. Like all the rest, you don't understand either. You better get out of here. Get out.
All right, if that's the way you want it.
Why'd you crumple up this note? Now, why?
I didn't think that you'd need it. I thought we had this thing straightened out.
Well, we haven't. I told you, get out.
All right, wait a minute. You said that you'd pled guilty. You admitted you forged that check. Isn't that right?
That's what I said.
Well, how come you're here? How come you happen to be home?
They gave me 24 hours to arrange care for my dogs. I put up a bond. They gave me 24 hours.
Where'd you get the money for the bond?
One of the companies by the jail. They put it up for me.
Well, how about the dogs? Did you take care of them?
No, not yet.
Where are they?
They're up in the kitchen.
Can I see them?
You like dogs?
Certainly I like dogs.
All right, come on. There they are. This one's Marta. This little one's Eric.
Yeah, they look like real good dogs.
They are. Thoroughbred shepherds. Only friends I have.
That's not true. You got friends.
Who? Tell me who.
Well, me, for one. I'd like to be your friend if you'll just give me the chance. How about it? What do you say?
What's that on your belt?
What?
The leather case on your belt. What is it? You don't have to answer. I'll tell you. It's a bullet clip. You're not Sid Hughes, are you? Are you?
No, Jan.
No, you're a policeman. You're here to take me to prison, but you made a mistake, a big mistake.
Yeah?
I'm going to kill you.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfields, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. The only cigarette ever to give you
1, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and 1/2, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
$11:18 a.m. I'd been in the apartment with Jan Patachek for 13 minutes. During that time, he'd held a chrome-plated Luger pointed at me. We'd gone into the kitchen to see the dogs, and Patachek had noticed the cartridge clip on my belt. When I'd given my gun and holster to Frank, I'd forgotten to take the clip off. Patachek had noticed it when I kneeled down to pet the dogs. He'd looked at it for a minute, and then he motioned me to go into the living room. He followed, keeping the gun pointed at me. When we got into the center of the room, he told me to sit down, and he walked over to the other side of the room and sat on a chair.
There's some cigarettes on the table next to you. Please give me one.
Yeah, sure. Here.
Just throw it over here.
All right, here you are.
Thanks. Take one yourself if you like. Who are you?
My name's Friday.
You're a policeman, aren't you?
That's right.
You know, killing isn't new to me. I've done it before.
All right?
Yeah. See this gun?
Yeah.
I killed the man who owned it. He was the one at the prison camp, the one who kicked me. After I escaped, I went back. Now I have the gun. Now I don't have to listen to other people who tell me what to do or when or how to do it. You'll listen to me because you know if you don't, I'll kill you. You know that, don't you?
Maybe.
I've seen a lot of killing. I know what it is. I won't hesitate to kill you.
What about the people you know here?
What about?
How are they going to feel after you've done away with yourself?
It won't matter to them.
You sound pretty sure about that.
I'm as sure as I can be.
You mean that in the 2 years that you've been over here in this country, you haven't made any friends that are going to care about
Not
you?
at all.
What about the people in that picture?
What?
Right here. This photograph here. Christmas party, all the signatures. Won't they care?
No.
How About this one here. It says to Jan with deepest regards. Signed Mary Jane. Is this her?
Yes, that's her.
Looks like a nice girl to me.
She is.
Well, she'll care, won't she?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because all of them, they felt sorry for me all the time. They tried to make it easier because they felt sorry for me. They thought I didn't know, but I did. All the time, I knew.
Well, some of the things that they wrote on the pictures doesn't make it look like that. Some of them are pretty nice.
They didn't mean them.
You really believe that?
I don't have any other choice.
How long's it been since you did believe in anything?
Long time.
How long?
I guess since my mother died.
When was that?
At the beginning of the war. Right after the conference. They came one night. They took her and my father. Took them both. I never saw them again. I heard what happened. Guess that's the time I stopped believing in anything.
How'd you happen to come over to this country?
After I escaped, I went to England for 5 years. I worked with the Czech forces there. Then, when the war was over, I got permission to come here.
I think you said before that you came over here because you wanted the freedom. Isn't that right?
Yes.
You found it, didn't you?
I guess so.
Anyone ever tried to tell you where you could go?
No.
What church to go to?
No.
You can say what you think, can't you?
Yes.
Well, why do you want to do this thing?
I try to tell you, I know about prisons. I know what goes on behind the doors. I lived there. I lived and died in them. You ever been in one?
Yes.
As a prisoner?
No, not as a prisoner.
Well, that's just it. Maybe they got you fooled, too. I remember when the people from the relief organizations would come along. The guard would take us out in the court of the prison. They'd make us stand there and tell the people how good they were to us. If we didn't say it that way, then they'd take us back and beat us to death. I know what goes on behind the doors. I know because I saw it. I lived it. Now, don't tell me what happens. Now, you and your law come along and tell me that you're going to send me back.
What about them? Who's going to take care of the dogs? Isn't that the reason that you're here? Isn't that the reason you came home? Who's going to take care of them?
I don't know. Somebody will.
They're going to miss you.
They'll miss me feeding them, that's all.
You know better than me.
Mother, Eric, be quiet.
Well, they seem to mind, don't they?
They're well trained.
You ever shown them?
No.
We have a lot of good dog shows around here. You ought to show them. They'd probably do real good.
Do they have dog shows in prison?
I don't know how to tell you. I don't know how to make you believe me. If you just let me get that judge over here, let him talk to you. Maybe he can make you believe that it's not going to be like it was in your country. You'll be well fed. You'll get decent clothes. Nobody's going to beat you. We don't do things like that here.
I'm not going to prison.
Just let me get that judge over here. Now, let me call him on the phone. He can be here in just a few minutes. He'll tell you. He can do something. There's no reason why we can't work this thing out. Now, let me try to help you, please.
I want to believe you, Mr. Friday. I really do, but it's hard to believe in anything.
I'll just ask you one thing. Trust me. I've never seen you before. I don't know you outside of this room, but I ask you to believe me. And I promise you, I give you my word that I won't let anything happen to you.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me have that gun. Let me take it. And then we can work things out.
Really think we can do it?
I think we can.
John? John, let me in. I want to see you.
They're here now to take me. You won't let them do it, will you? Please don't let them take me.
Don't worry. All right, you down there. Get away from that door. All right, come on, Jan.
I'll go crazy if they put me in prison again. I know I will. I don't want to go back.
Jan, come on. Give me the gun, will you?
I won't go back. If I go this time, it'll be for good. Now, if they take me this time, they'll kill me for what I did. I know they will.
No, they won't, Jan. Now, please, give me that gun.
Let me in.
Get away from that door and stay away, will you?
They're going to break in. Quick, we got to hide. If they find us, they'll kill us both.
Come on, Jan, believe me. I won't let anybody hurt you. I promise. I give you my word. Now, give me that gun.
You mean that?
I do.
You won't let them take me?
No, now, come on. Give me the gun.
I want to believe you. I want to believe you.
Do it. Trust me, Jan. I won't let you down. Come on, give me the gun. Get away from that door. I'm doing the best I can. Who is he?
Now, just stand still, you.
All right.
We did all we could, Joe. This guy got by. It says Patachek owed him money.
We tried to stop him, Joe.
Yeah.
You're the man who was with him?
That's right.
Well, you had no business up there. That's what you get for trying to impede justice. That's just
You want to tell me something? What were you doing pounding on that door?
Patachek owed me money. I heard he was going to jail. I wanted to get it before he left. I had a right to be here. If you'd kept your nose out of this, I'd have gotten it straightened out.
Sure you would have. Patachek's dead.
I know that. I heard the shot. I'm out $200 he owed me. Think I'll ever get it back? I hope you're happy. You just took $200 away from me, didn't you?
Come on, Frank. Sit.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 19th, an autopsy was performed in the coroner's office in and for the county of Los Angeles, state of California. In a moment, the results of that autopsy.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've been getting letters from people all over the country telling us that they've switched to Chesterfield. And just as I've been telling you, thousands of smokers are changing to Chesterfield because only Chesterfield gives proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's why I recommend you try them today. Regular or king size, you'll find Chesterfield best for you.
The coroner's autopsy disclosed that the death of Jan Padacek resulted from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was officially recorded as a suicide. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Whit Connor, Vic Perrin, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering. And Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Visit with Cousin Willie next on NBC.